It is time for the new Dan Fogler 4D Experience podcast. Are you ready? Buckle in. Let's go for a ride.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dan Fogler 4D Experience. We are live on the NerdBot Media vast worldwide network, and we have a hell of a first video podcast show in store for you guys today. Later on, we will be joined by none other than Kevin Smith and Cooper Andrews. But ladies and gentlemen, please give a virtual round of applause, yell, scream, stomp, and cheer in your home where nobody else can hear you for the man, Dan Fogler.
Jesus. Bernard!
Dan, are you hiding under the desk?
Oh, I was.
Like, afraid the wife and the kids are going to pop in and catch you? Were you playing with your dolls again?
Yeah, I have all my dolls set up underneath my table here, and I play with them, all my G.I. Joes and all my Transformers and my Mask toys.
Mask, oh my God. I think that's a little bit of an obscure reference, but Mask was awesome. Centurions, those were fun too.
It's 620, 2020, 620, 2020. And do you know why that's very special?
Why is that special?
Because it's the 2-month anniversary of 420.
That's right.
20.
It is. It was 420 in 4 of 20. It was like the 420 of all 420s, and everybody was stuck inside with nothing to do but smoke, right? This had to be like the smokiest 420 ever.
Do you know that it's midnight here? Who planned this? It's midnight here in the UK, Birdie.
If I recall, you did dictate the times, so you're going to have to take the L on that one. Yeah, that was you.
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
So we're all over the world. You're in the UK. Coop's in Georgia. Kevin, I'm assuming Kevin is in LA where he lives. I'm in LA. So we're all over the place. We got fans from all over the place. I'm looking in the chat. Guys, if you're in the chat on the NerdBot Facebook or YouTube, shout it out and tell us where you're joining us from. Would love to see where you guys are watching from. That's going to be fun.
Has Kevin checked in yet?
I don't think Kevin has checked in just yet. I'll keep an eye on the chat, our internal chat when he does.
So if he doesn't show up, I'm just going to turn a hat around and put on a trench coat, and I'll just do Silent Bob impressions.
There you go.
Until he gets here.
You should be there should be a scene in like, you know, the 8th Silent Bob movie that they do, and it should be like a spoof of the Spaceball stunt double scene, and you're the Silent Bob stunt double.
Oh, and they turn around and I'm just like, hey! And I have like a stick in my mouth.
That would be awesome.
Well, so you know what's funny is that it's Father's Day here already. You don't have kids.
It is. I have stepkids. I have 2 awesome stepkids, teenagers. I skipped all the other the change of diaper thing, and I went right to crisis, existential crisis mode. Yeah,
I got you. You know, I've been. Did I ever do that thing for you with the Schwartz? And I know how you love the Schwarzenegger bits. I had a. Do you remember that when it was a couple of years back, and Schwarzenegger was just like. Suddenly it turned out that he had just paternity suits everywhere. Like he had like 8 kids all over the world, or even more. Like he just fathered all sorts of children.
That sounds like a Tracy Morgan bit, like Schwarzenegger walked into the room, everybody getting pregnant.
Exactly. So I made up these shirts for Father's Day that said, "Bam, you've been fathered." It's as if Schwarzenegger has so much testosterone that he just has to look at you and just go, "Bam! You're father now. I don't even care who your mother is. You're my son now." It's crazy. Like he has.
He probably believes that, actually.
No, I know he does. I'm sure. I think he said that in Pumping Iron, that he has the ability to look at someone and impregnate them.
I mean,
Everybody out there in the virtual world is now fathered.
That's that. I need to see that. Like, I need him to act that out in some kind of a comedy film. That has to happen now. We've got to write the script.
Fathered, starring Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
He's just riding around on like a motorcycle, looking at people. Instead of a shotgun, he takes his sunglasses down. He's just all fathered. Anyway,
isn't your buddy Chris dating his daughter? Like, how does that go? Like, how do you meet dad, right? When it's Schwarzenegger.
Christopher Pratt. What was that? Did they get married yet? They got married.
I don't know.
Schwarzenegger just standing off to the side. The tux is looking a little tight on you, Chris. Can you imagine just having a trainer for the rest of your life?
As your dad.
Down the hall. The greatest, most muscular man in the world. Just down the hall. I heard you guys fucking last night. Listen, why am I setting it up that they're all living together? That's weird. I don't know.
Well, I mean, eventually when they're old and senile, like they move in, right? And it becomes your next set of kids. You really get 2 sets of kids in life.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you noticed that I'm on my, I mean, here's the thing about quarantine is that I guess it just suits me too well. You know, I'm just like, and I got I'm working off of my quarantine 20 here.
Yeah, I think we're all in that same boat. Would love to drop the quarantine 20.
Yeah, I mean, I gained 20 pounds. Like, fuck at that, man. I mean, it was shit. I lost 100 pounds over 2 years. I went down to 160 pounds, right?
I would kill to be 160. That was my best weight.
But people were looking at me. They would look at me like this, like of all intelligences and all shapes and sizes, they would look at me and go, "Oh my God, man, are you all right?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm perfectly healthy." And then they'd just be like, "Well, in that case, you look great." You know, like I don't know.
You got to temp check first.
I don't like the juxtaposition of that, you know. So I had to like gain 20 pounds to 180, and I was like hanging out around 180. I'm like, I think I'm gonna do Fantastic Beasts 3, you know, at that weight. I was like, yeah, let's do that, and then, bam, now we're all locked down, and I put on 20 pounds like that.
Well, I mean, you got to minimize your shopping, right? So you have to, you know, you're just using up what's there to eat and not just going out every couple of days and getting exactly what you need. And you got to think ahead. And then the kids go in and they eat, you know, whatever. And then it's like, oh, wait, that was my prepped meal for the thing. And now you got to eat the pasta that's left over, right? It's, you know.
I ate the whole 50-year supply, honey.
Do you know what I learned is that veggie straws are not actually vegetables. I was substituting those for a while, just like pouring because they taste like potato chips, and rightly so, because they are. So you know what I've been doing? I've been fasting, and I'm if I seem like I'm loopy, it's not just because I'm baked, but it's also because that's all I just been smoking and drinking water and just frankincense and myrrhing myself. And my God, like I haven't eaten in 48 hours. I had one chicken wing that I had to have a chicken wing. My wife made chicken wings, and I was just like, "Give me that goddamn chicken wing!" And I fucking ate it like a squirrel, man. But and that's all I needed. I'm on the one chicken wing diet every 48 hours.
That's amazing. You know, I saw Kevin talks about that too, because he had some medical complications, and then he dropped a whole lot of weight. And he's been doing the fasting thing as well. I recently did a juice cleanse for the first time, a 3-day juice cleanse, and I every time I was getting cravings, and I wasn't actually hungry, it was boredom, right? That I was like, I should be eating right now. Or I'd walk by and smell something, and that's the worst. And I would actually think back to watching Kevin's journey, and I'd go, okay, look, the last time he said something like it was either 48 or 72 hours, like, and he didn't eat a thing, and he didn't even feel the pangs. And I'm like, yo, I got to stay strong, right? Like I got to be able to just get through this thing at least I get the juices like 3 times a day, and it's, you know, whatever. But it's crazy when you start to eat healthy and, you know, kind of change things up. Speaking of, I do see that Kevin is in the waiting room, so he's ready when we get over to him. But dude, this is going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot of stuff planned. We got we're going to talk with Coop and Kevin. You've got the new impressions game. I know everyone's excited for that. Our chat checked in. We've got folks from all over the U.S., Illinois and Arizona have checked in, and Chicago checked in to say hi. A lot of people giving you love for Putnam County Spelling Bee and dropping some fun references in there.
We'll do all the questions later. We'll take all those questions at the end.
And then we've got the sci-fi, the fandom battle. Bernie's picks. It's going to be fun.
You're all excited. We got Bernie's picks. You're all excited.
I'm actually only saying that because when you and I talked, that's what we were calling it. But
Bernie's picks, man.
The bracket has been fun. It's good. I can't wait to see your reactions of what Bernie won and lost in the first round, and then we get there.
Hey, Bernie, congratulations. This is our first live 40X. This is exciting. Hey, I want people out there to check out the audio show, the 40X show. I have a new website. It's www.foglersfiction.com, and that's like a, one-stop shop for everything. You get anything you see here.
I was just gonna say, tell us about Fishkill. It's right there.
Yeah, we got posters. We got Brooklyn Gladiator. Oh my God, I'm like Crazy Eddie. This is Christopher Lloyd. Do you remember Crazy Eddie?
Yeah, of course.
On the East Coast,
Eddie and Gideon's right, and
Crazy Eddie. Like, well, I'm going to say I'm slashing prices. That's what we're doing here. So I got Moon Lake graphic novels. I got Fishkill. These are all books that are coming out from Heavy Metal Magazine. Check it out. And if you see any posters or anything, just go to the shop and there's all sorts of merch and it's awesome and everything is there. You can just, I'm like, the wonders of technology.
It is amazing.
You could just click on and it goes to the Instagram and the Twitter and the whole Twitter thing. And also you can click on for the 40 Xperience podcast. I did some really awesome. I mean, there's.
You just had Josh Gad. I wanted to ask you about that. How was that experience? Because
that was cathartic, man. That was really cathartic because he's a brother from another mother, But it took me a minute to realize that, because at first I thought he was just like, arch nemesis, and because there was a time in my career where it was just like, fuck, he's getting every single part, and it was like when he was Olaf, it was just like, fuck, Olaf is everywhere. I couldn't escape it, and it was just like, and then recently, the planets have been in retrograde and you're all hunkered down here. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start thinking about some, delving into some old karma and trying to reverse it. So I was like, I'm going to have Josh on and I'm going to tell him how much I fucking love him and how he's like a brother, and how when I look at him and I'm just, because he came out of Spelling Bee. We both came out of the same show. We came out of the same character. And I don't know, I just had my heart just like flipped over on this kid. I'm just really happy for him. And so, I had him on the show. I had like a bunch of Walking Dead people on, Paola Lazaro and Kari Payton were on. We did an amazing episode. You guys got to listen to it. I guess that's it. I mean, like, I'm very excited to share this new season with you. And these are crazy times, man. And I'm trying to, this is all fun and games. And here we are live and we're trying to make, help people forget about what's going on, in the world now. But it's also our job to, to reflect on it and talk about what's going on in society and filter it through our sensibilities. And so the recent podcasts have really reflected that. And we're going to keep it pretty chill here today. But if you listen to the audio podcast, we have one coming up that deals with JK's recent
Turf City.
letter tweeting about transgender equality. And so I had transgendered woman on and named Dana Levinson, and she wrote like a counter essay to JK. She's a huge Harry Potter fan. She's an actor, and so I had her on the show, and she talks about being transgender, and she talks about, we try to break down JK's letter, and just try to see where she's coming from, and really just try to start a dialogue about this stuff. I learned so much. So if you know nothing about transgender equality and what's going on right now, and you're trying to figure out, and you can't get around the biology of it, you should definitely listen to that podcast coming out next week. And it really gets down into the philosophy of it, and it's really an existential thing. It's who am I? It's like, and we talk about the Matrix. The Wachowski sisters. We talk about at the core of the Matrix. What does the Oracle say? Know thyself. I mean, it's all. Yeah.
I find that you bring up the Wachowskis, and that is just one of the most intriguing stories. I've literally had several conversations at like the wee hours of the morning with just about that subject. I think it's so fascinating that you have two siblings that at separate times in their life recognized their true selves and began their transitions. And just the how the odds of that are just crazy astronomical. That it's nuts, and it's super cool, and that they they're able to kind of break through and still do and fight stereotypes before kind of we all started waking up a bit. And they, before it felt safe and comfortable, they did it anyway. It was bold and brave. And I think it's just a really fascinating story. And I think a lot of people may not yet realize that the Wachowskis are now the Wachowski sisters. And yeah, it's fascinating. Do go down that rabbit hole. It's a very, very interesting one. And actually we'll teach a lot about just the whole trans experience if you start reading that. So it's very cool.
Oh my gosh. I mean, transgender equality is incredibly important, but did we just miss 420?
We might have just, let's reset it 1 minute. We're calling it 420 right now.
Okay. Does Cooper want to join us? Or
we're going to do a countdown to 420 here. And then I think you guys are going to disappear and I will awkwardly hold it down for a minute.
Elevator.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to 420, and it is 420 Pacific Standard Time, but it can be 420 wherever you are. It doesn't matter. Just reset that clock, celebrate it internally. But 420, as you know, is a holiday every day, internationally celebrated for anybody that partakes in the goods that are cannabis. So while Dan takes a smoke break, hi Coop, what's up? Coop's taking a smoke break. Or hanging out. I will say that in honor of 420, I'll give a shout out to one of the most decorated dispensaries in Los Angeles, Green Wolf, over in Atwater Village. Incredible customer service, incredible product knowledge there. People that are just legacies in the industry, and some of the best quality products that you will find. Definitely check out the Green Wolf. And if you want to have it brought to your home in Los Angeles, you can go to ease.com and get weed delivered to your doorstep. If you're a friend of Dan's, I will deliver it personally to your doorstep.
Really? Are you kidding, man? That's fucking great.
I mean, yeah. I just saw Ross the other week, so whatever.
I got a little friend.
Hell yeah.
So that was our 420 break. Well, we got to come up with a theme song. I promise you by the next show, we'll have theme music for the 420 minute.
I want it.
Here's one. Here's for a little bit.
Yeah.
Coop's doing it live.
Oh, yeah. 420 time. It's time to rhyme. Listen to that chime.
Grab your greens.
That's
Listen,
the
I'm not
that's
that
the
black,
song.
right? I did know that.
We'll work on it. Coop, you want to you could help us do like a nice, easy listening version of Bob Marley's Jammin', and we'll make that the theme song.
Ooh, that will do.
I could find that.
Cooper!
Yes. Hello.
Are you watching it, Cooper?
I
You're chumming the waters, Cooper.
Black
How are
eyes, a doll's eyes.
Yes. Do you know that it's the 45th anniversary of Jaws today?
I was seeing that all over the Twitters. And I was
Bruce the
happy about
Shark is
that.
my guy.
Bruce the Shark.
Bruce
Yeah.
the Shark?
Yeah,
Bruce
his name's
the
Bruce.
Shark.
Yep.
Oh,
Look it up.
yeah.
I didn't know.
You know, I went to Greg Nicotero's. He's got his like studio. That was another awesome 40x audio experience that you guys should listen to, man. And he's the the special effects, horror effects for The Walking Dead and many of your favorite movies over the years. And I went to his studio, and he's got the Jaws model there. Just the head is just mounted on the wall. And I put some pictures up on Twitter today, and I'm just like hanging out with the Jaws and the you know how I guess Spielberg made real life mannequins for stand-ins, so they were there, Roy Scheider and everybody, and it's fucking cool. All right, so are you guys fans of Jaws growing up? That was like my favorite. That's probably my favorite horror movie.
It's hard to call it a horror, right? It's almost a suspense.
Right.
Like,
Well, it's like Psycho.
Like a
But it was
horror
gory.
of the time. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, but it isn't a horror. To me, like, despite it being, the shark that's getting everybody, I just never felt like our heroes were going to lose. And in horror movies, I just feel like, all right, they're supposed to lose. So to me, this is like them fighting, like battling a
You're like, they're
creature.
gonna kill
They're
him.
gonna get them. They're not gonna get eaten up too bad.
Anybody else root for the shark sometimes? I kind of rooted for the shark a little bit. I don't know how messed up that is, but
Not even with when what's his name? What was that? A monkey?
Lelouch.
Not even when Robert Shaw was being eaten, and he's just all and the fucking blood is coming out of his mouth. You were just like, nah, they're gonna be fine.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. He'll do something inside. This is his plan. Attack from within.
Yeah, I can't go into the ocean without a sharp rock because of that movie. Like I can't, like if I can't see, a few feet ahead of me, even like that's ridiculous because the shark will just fucking ram into you. But if I can't see, like if it's murky water, I always go into the ocean with a sharp rock. Even if I'm with my kids, I'm just like sharp rock and with my kid. Is that crazy, Cooper?
No, I tie a knife around my calf. When I dive in off the cliffs into the ocean, I just pour my mouth. Always ready. My backup's on my calf.
That's what you've been doing during lockdown?
Yeah, just preparing for my water travel.
Whoa, I almost fell off my chair.
What'd you do in your quarantine?
shark
I
preparedness kit look like, Coop?
explored the ocean. Oh, my shark prepared? Man, not going in the water is pretty good for me. After that, I mean, like when you go into the ocean and you're like, all right, tiger sharks are sometimes here. You're like, all right, I accept the fact that I'm aware there are sharks in here. So it's you kind of just, you have to like be in a mindset of like, this might happen. Kind of. I don't know. If anything, that's what Jaws taught me. It's like, you can't swim fast. You're not really meant to do that.
No, fuck that.
There's a shark.
I can't.
A shark is a moving piece of meat.
I can't even be in a swimming pool. I'm just like looking around in a swimming pool. Me and my wife, we were in Turks and Caicos for our honeymoon, and we were just like, hey, let's why don't we snorkel? And there we are, just like fucking bait, just sitting at the top of the ocean with snorkels in the middle of the freaking ocean with just a tiny boat next to us. Just being like, oh my God, we're going to be eaten. We're just going to be eaten. It's just, I feel like you do that and you're just like, hi, I'm a snack, just lying face down over the. Aren't sharks looking for that? Like a in stress at the top of the ocean, just like
they hear or something.
What?
They hear or something. I mean, like, how does a shark? I mean, a shark to look up would have to be like,
they feel you.
Hey, stop kicking! I'm coming. You know,
No,
and
then they circle upwards. They feel you, and then they go down and bam, and they pop you right in the donuts.
Cassidy, we did Australia. We went to Australia right before the quarantine, and ocean. I was like, I'm not going in that thing, and she was just running around in the ocean, and I was like, good for you. She's crazy. She's like, well, why not? I'm like, that's a wonderful perspective. I don't have that kind of perspective, but I'm like glad she did, and she was fine. She did the right thing. She got to enjoy the Australian water. Plus, they had a shark fence or something. It was just.
Do you think you can't jump that? Did you ever heard the term jumping the shark? Did you ever? No, that's the opposite. But I'm sure a shark could over or just ram right through a shark fence. Don't you think so?
I just feel like if they wanted to, I feel like they wanted to, they could. They choose not to. But I know
it's
very little about
it's too
sharks.
much effort, probably.
Yeah. It's hurting my head.
There's easier prey for them.
Scaring myself about this.
Ice.
I'm trembling.
And it comes up behind you and it takes a nip of you, and suddenly you hear a high-pitched squealing, and you're looking around and you're wondering what it is, and you realize it's you.
Was that the story? That was the story, right? He got drunk. Like he was so drunk doing the first night they had to reshoot it.
Didn't they just sit and they turned it? They were like, "All right, everyone get fucking drunk." And
I don't know the clear story. I don't know.
Yeah, they were all. He was constantly wasted. Shaw and Dreyfus. It was like all. It was like a real relationship, like reflected in the movie. Like they were having issues getting along, and they were like, you know what? Spielberg's like, "Fuck it, everyone drink." And then that's where the scene, "Drunk and I wanna go home. You see, reach under there, chief." That fucking scene, where he's just like, 42 men went into the ocean, 2 came out, and I was one of them, and I lost my finger. Whatever the fuck. So that's a good segue. Let's do new impressions. I want an animation for this too.
All right, producer Elvin, new impressions animation for next week.
Elvin. Okay. Okay, so first I'm going to ask Coop if he has any new impressions that he would like to, and a lot of these are going to be like visual stuff because I don't get to do visual shit on my podcast, so this is very exciting. So Cooper, what do you got, pal? You got any new impressions for me?
Oh, guys, see, the thing with me and impressions, like they're this hit and miss, but I've been having, I got to find a thing because I'm not good at just coming up with the ad libs like you guys.
Kari was on my show. When Kari was on my show,
so good.
Did you listen to the show?
I haven't listened to that. I just talked to him. Yesterday. But he had a lot of fun.
He told me that I have to put you on the spot to do your Rick Grimes impression.
Oh God.
Can you do it? You want to work on it?
I mean, he's like all
right, let's see it.
It's the visual. I just always laughed because I first noticed it when that scene I talk about when I thought when I wave at him, and they cut this out, but like my first like interaction with him, I just wave when he's walking up and I do this. And he gives me this he gives me like this cockeyed look like this. Kang, Ezekiel. We need to, and so he gave me that look, and I was like, "Oh shit, he's pissed." He did not like that. He did not like that at all. And just that aggressive look, and he goes, "Did you just fucking wave at me?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's fucking awesome." I almost laughed, man. Do that again. It was like this, and but it was these looks that look. Ever since I saw that, I just look for that look because I remember that because I'm like, oh no, Andy's really mad at me. because I did this. You know, I just thought that, like, I realized it wasn't, but so I see this a lot from him. Right? It's always this. And I can't. All right, let me tell you about the one I've been trying to work on, though. Oh, God, thanks, Kari. This is what I tell people. I'm like, Kari, I'm not like, I don't exaggerate when I say you put me on the spot. It's not gonna. I have to be in the mood. I have to be harnessing it. But
I feel like you need to do a spray bottle and mist yourself to do Rick, because he's always sweating.
Constantly.
Oh my God, yeah. I think I'm the only person that sweat more than him. Maybe
there was a story, right? He would before, because he was just like, you know, he's the lead, and he's just like, you know what? Fuck it, man. I'm just gonna be wet the entire episode, because he was like always had people coming in to spray him. So he was like, fuck it. So he would just stick his head in the bucket of water before every single shot and just be like, ugh. Right? Is that the case?
I've never seen that. I don't think I've ever seen that. But if he did, I could believe it. I could believe that having happened, but I've never seen that. Intense.
I'm very. Did I tell you I was fasting? I'm just like, I'm having.
What hour?
Tripping balls off. I'm tripping balls off. It's 48 hours on one chicken wing.
Nice.
Thanks,
you're doing the one apple and cigarette a day. All right, it's fine. How do you feel? How do you feel with 42 days of this?
First 24 hours was crazy. It was pretty easy. For some reason. Sometimes like it's like when I say, you know what? I wake up in the morning, I was like, you know what? I had way too much shit last night to eat. I definitely have to fucking fast today. And I don't make it past noon. You know, if I tell myself I'm gonna fucking fast today, I never make it past noon. I have to have some. But it's always on the days where I'm just like halfway through the day, I'm busy, I'm just in the moment, and then I go, holy shit, I really haven't eaten today, and I guess I probably could go the rest of the day. And then you're able to do it. It's kind of like boredom
a lot of the time is what makes us want to eat, more so than actually being physically needing of food.
Yep, you got it, brother. Okay, let's actually do impressions. Okay, so I have 1 through 6 new impressions that I've worked on for us, and I would like Bernie, you pick the first one through 6. Which one should I do first?
Do number 4.
Number 4. Okay. This is Wallace Shawn. As everyone know who he is. He's the inconceivable from
Cassini from Princess Bride.
Okay. This is Wallace Shawn as Emperor Palpatine from Return of the Jedi. Okay. Tell me if I'm too loud here. I can feel your anger growing inside of you. Pick up your weapon. Strike me down with it with all of your might, and your transformation to the dark side will be complete. Or else, young Skywalker, you and your friends will die. Louder.
That was great. He's very loud.
I felt like I don't know if I was right on with that, but it was close.
It was very good. It was very good.
I enjoyed that very much.
Did you like that?
I did like that. I can't even, after 420, I can't even quote Star Wars properly. I'm trying to do an Andre the Giant. Maybe, wait, what if he had this? Wait,
anybody want a peanut?
Anybody want a peanut? No, I'm trying to think of what would a Vader? No, it's like, you told me Vader betrayed and kidnapped and murdered my father. But I told you it was true from a certain point of view.
And I did, didn't I?
From a certain point of view.
Never get involved with the Sith when death is on the line.
Okay. Okay. So, give me. Okay, so Cooper, 1 through 6. Choose one, not 4.
3. I like to stick in the middles and then let the tips.
Okay, this is my Tiger King impression.
God damn it. I was in that goddamn cage with 17 grown female tigers, and they all tried to kill me, and none of the trainers and none of the handlers tried to help me at all.
How was that?
That was good.
That
That bitch Carol Baskin.
That bitch Carol Baskin put me in here, and I'm gonna rot here for the rest of my goddamn life. And I know she killed every single one of her husbands.
Okay, how was that? That was pretty good.
yeah, man, you're killing it. I feel like I didn't do my homework. I've been trying to do Anthony Hopkins for a while. But I don't know what to say because he speaks in this fast wave. So I literally just picked up this mail thing. This seems so placed. Okay. Huge. Good morning. Huge land sale event. Wait, hold on. Shit, that was horrible. Horrible. This is what it is, people. This is where it's like 30 minutes of doing it, and then you're like, is it there? Is it there? Okay, but I noticed he has like this clipped way of talking and this way of speaking really quickly, and I've been trying to harness that. Oh my God. Horrible. Worst never. A gorgeous lakefront estate. A huge for the biggest. I am useless.
Oh, that was awesome.
It's a huge lake with a big building, and look at you as you stand there afar with your comic books behind your head. But this kind of standing there looking.
I like it.
The cadence was really good.
It was. That's like my Morgan.
Starts
Freeman.
there.
Sometimes
it starts with the cadence.
Morgan Freeman, and that doesn't.
Oh no! Yeah.
That wasn't.
It goes. That's the thing. That's why I always get so blown away when you and Ross and everyone, you guys like in the car, you guys like nail these every single time. Like, how do you do it so consistently? Like, there's days where I'm like, oh, did anyone hear that? I'm like, oh, no one was around. And then there's days I'm like, that wasn't anything like it.
Okay, so choose do 1 through 6 again, not 3 or 4.
Secrets. No one tell the secrets. 1.
Okay. This is Tom Hanks reading weird Twitter comments.
Do you do the Wilson, I'm sorry? You do that one?
I'm sorry.
Does that sound like it?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's like that.
My kids are sleeping. It's almost 1 a.m. here.
This is a perfect time to do a Bill Murray from What About Bob when he has that Tourette scene.
I love that movie, but I don't have a Bill.
Butt sniffer. I don't even know how to. Now we're just gonna let's attempt impersonations we've never tried before ever.
Okay, hold on.
That was my Bill.
Some of these are. You want to? Okay, choose between 1 and 6, Bernie.
Let's go. You just did 1, so we'll go 6 on the other end of it.
Okay, this is the mystery impression.
Bounce.
Okay, this is a mystery impression, and it's mostly visual. Okay, and as you can see, I've gotten real bushy. Whoa, is that weird? Okay, I get real bushy.
So
right, and I want you guys to see this. I'm putting in my name in the hat for this character in the near future. I want you guys to. Okay,
it's Chewbacca.
Son of a fucking bitch, Bernie.
You look kind of Logan-y, man.
Thank you.
Hey,
you look pretty Logan-y there.
Chewbacca. Bernie, you
got to bust your balls a little bit.
Bernie, you want to be my Ed McMahon? Do you want to continue being my Ed McMahon, Bernie?
All right.
Hey, bub. Maybe I do look like Chewbacca. Fuck it. I gotta shave. Now you got me. Now I'm all self-conscious.
Get the chops.
Fuck you.
That'd be awesome.
Wait. Let me try it again.
Do it. I'm there. I'm there with you, man.
Fuck it.
Look, anything would be an improvement on Dark Phoenix. That's all I'm going to say. So I think you got at least a puncher's chance.
Puncher's chance? Okay. Which is the next one you guys want to see? You guys want to see my my Winnie the Pooh as David Attenborough?
I gotta ask you. So where do you come up with the scenarios or this character doing this other thing? How does that come to be?
Okay, so honey, I can't do it. There's a rumbly in my. I'm not gonna do that one because I can't do it for some reason. But here's the thing: Winnie the Pooh sounds just like David Attenborough. There's a rumbling. I got it. I'm David Attenborough, and these are the tides of the earth. And now listen to Winnie the Pooh. I'm Winnie the Pooh, and I love honey, and there's a rumbling in my tummy. Okay, so now this is that. Okay, now this is. Did you know that honey is the only food that will not rot? A jar of honey may remain edible for over 3,000 years, Piglet. Do you like that?
He is David Attenborough.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Do we really know who does Winnie the Pooh's voice? We never met him. David Attenborough. Where's Kevin? Is he here soon?
Kevin is in the waiting room. I can get him queued up to join us.
One last impression, then we're gonna bring Kevin in here.
Okay.
Les Cooper, you got an impression for me?
It just reminded me of my Richard Harris.
Yeah.
That's from the huge land sale event, public offering June 13th. Some I'm going to use this huge land sale event thing for everything.
To every group of purchase at your nearest Kmart.
To every sound more tired.
And somewhere you went to Ray Fiennes for a second there. It was a little Voldemort-y.
Oh. I thought you sounded like Dumbledore.
Yes.
Harry.
And then they got
time whenever you want. What was it?
And then they got new Dumbledore. Or what, the witch?
What, who?
Why are we waiting? The who? Why are we still? Do it. Let's hear it. What do you got? Let's hear this.
This is my last one.
Yes.
This is also a visual one. This is Bruce Willis from Pulp Fiction. Okay, you ready? Oh, weird. A hair in my mouth. Okay, here we go. Here we go. You ready? My ass goes down. Huh? Let me do it again for you. My ass goes down. No, wait, that's too hot. My ass goes down. Nah, I don't know. So, did I kind of look like it?
It's so funny how small you got to purse your lips, your mouth to do that. It's so like.
Thank you. Thank you. It's hard
I'll
work.
give you a little Marvin the Martian. You Earthlings are so stupid walking around without your masks on. I don't even need to use my Illudium Q36 space modulator on you.
Explosive space modulator.
That he's also like Kermit. You know what?
It's in the same spot on the throat. Yeah.
Oh, Kermit the Frog here.
Bernie, why were you on that? Bernard,
save this for the end.
Let's bring on Kevin Smith. Man,
yeah, why are we doing this?
All right, I see the box populating in the chat. We'll give him a second to click on the video. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be joined by writer-director Kevin Smith. This is going to be awesome.
Hello.
Does Kevin do impressions? I've never seen him do one. That'll be fun.
You never seen him do one of these?
Nah, I haven't seen him do impressions.
Well, we're not having him do impressions.
I know. I was just curious. When he said, I'm sure that he and Jason have sat around stoned one time and done impressions. I bet he's got one.
I have one request for him, but yeah. We'll see. we'll see if he
give him a second to get the Zoom set up.
If he wants impressions. Oh, is he taking his time? Let's see if I have an extra thing here. Okay. Wow. No. Okay. Let's do Al Pacino waiting for Kevin Smith to come on.
Okay. What the fuck is Kevin waiting for? Kevin Smith. I love that movie, Clerks. Oh, I love it. Love it. It's black and white. Got balls. Got fucking balls. To make a fucking movie in black and white.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about that. Let me tell you something about. Oh, I see his bottom. I see his adorable fucking face.
What's that? Am I live? Is this happening?
You are live, Kevin, and Dan was introing you as Al Pacino, waiting for Kevin.
I heard that the last few seconds of Pacino, and I was like, boy, Fogler's show is bigger than I realized, man. Who else is on it? How are you cats doing?
Oh, man. It's good, man. Happy almost Father's Day. It's Father's Day here in the UK where I'm at.
What are you doing there?
I was about to do Fantastic Beasts 3.
Did you get quarantined in England?
Got locked down in England, man.
What's it been like there compared to here? I'm sure you've said it a zillion times, but for those of us who just entered late, what is it like?
I've been here for 9 months. It's
That's a lot of jammy Dodgers right there.
Yeah, it's you know how they're just all, stay calm and carry on. It's kind of like that, where they just keep on going about their business. And you see some people out with, it's crazy. I don't know how it is in the States. I got some people telling me what's going on there, but I think that, you look outside here and there's people who are in fucking hazmat suits and just like walking across the street to avoid people. And then you have people like jogging, sweating their balls off, no mask on. And
I do like a mile walk every day from my house up the hill, up to Mulholland Drive. And, the other day, I guess the governor was like, masks are mandatory in the state of California. You have to wear a mask. And I was already wearing one, so I didn't give a shit. I mean, in a world of, I'm a big superhero fucking fan. I am never going to pass an opportunity to put on a fucking mask and wear it in public. Like, I know there's some people out there politicizing it, but I'm like, I don't give a shit. I feel like a watchman. So it's easy for me. But, when you go up the hill at a certain point, you want to dip the mask down just because you're breathing like heavy into the mask. And I'm the only one on the hill with a mask. I keep passing people and everyone's maskless running down the hill and shit like that. So even here, where a lot of people assume that like, oh, California, they're crazy and they take everything seriously and shit. I drove around yesterday. I saw a lot of people without masks on. So it's not fully penetrating.
So you were on the Jay and Silent Bob reboot tour. And then were you able to
saw you every night for 65 cities. It was beautiful, man. Like I watched every screening of the movie. When you make a movie and you put it out in theaters, like Dan could not possibly go to every screening of Fantastic Beasts. It's impossible. I went to every single public screening of Jay and Silent Bob reboot on the tour. Now, financially, it wouldn't be feasible for Dan to go to every single screening of Fantastic Beasts, even if Warner Brothers was paying and putting them on the jet. They just have screenings constantly, 4,000 screens, that kind of movie opens like that. Ours, we treated more like a concert, so I got to be there for every single screening of the movie, 65 cities over the course of 4 months. So I saw you play in every part of the country and overseas as well, because we went to England for like, 5 dates and stuff during the holidays. So every night I saw you get smashed, like Harley grabbed him, down you go. And every night it killed. Nice. Every night when you walked out, there was this audience breakdown of recognition. Overall, naturally, there's like, hey, Harry Potter. There was a hardcore cross section of people going fanboys. So they saw what you did. Like I remember when we were doing it before we shot, Dan was like, can I wear my vest and be Hutch? He's like, it won't affect the scene one iota. And I was like, oh my God, absolutely. We got a backdoor fucking sequel to Fanboys. Why not? Yeah. So he came on in full Hutch mode, and some cats on tour picked up on it, man. But I'm telling you, as much as I enjoyed you that night, and you got to understand, Fogler did his scene at 3 a.m, when nobody's fresh for comedy, and yet still he was able to deliver the funny. And in the moment when you did it, I appreciated it. But I got to appreciate it every night watching you work with audience after audience. So as much affection as I have for you when we actually shot the scene, throughout that entire tour, like every night when you popped up, I was like, look at fucking Fogler delivered for us, man. And like, you know, anytime you're there watching a comedy, you know, you want as many fucking laughs as possible. So every laugh is golden and stuff. And you gave us a couple really good laughs for like 45 seconds of screen time, man. You delivered. So thank you. So I've thought of you all through the tour. I had no choice because I sat there and watched the movie every night. And every time you come up, I was like, Fogler. But it was wonderful. And just when the tour ended on February 26th in New Orleans, the day after Mardi Gras, we went home. And then like 2 days later, they were like, stay in your house. And since I'd been on the road for like 4 months, I was like, hi, Captain. So I was okay to kind of come home and stuff. But the tour was beautiful. Like now I understand. I appreciated every step of the way. I'm that type of person. But now I appreciate it more than ever because I don't know that I'll ever be able to see. We were seeing 1,000, 1,500 people a night. I don't know if we're ever going to see that until, you know, a vaccine happens and stuff. So now I'm breathing like rarefied air, like in as much as like, wow, that's something I might not see again in my lifetime. Packed fucking room, everyone's sitting around watching a Kevin Smith movie. So I'm appreciative to be home and having a break and stuff. But, you know, I wish it wasn't for the reason, because unfortunately that's also come along with a lot of death for a lot of people.
Yeah, man.
What is the best thing that happened? Like, what are you doing fucking England all day? I was over there, like, what was I doing there? Oh, I went over to see Star Wars being shot, and Dan was there working on Fantastic Beasts, and thank God he was there because he was, oddly enough, my connection. That's how I traveled the green while I was in England and stuff like that. So are you, is it
you showed up. Yeah, actually, no, I have an amazing story about that. I have always had excellent ganja karma. I walked out of my house before lockdown. I was walking to a couple blocks to my guy who I would get from, and I was like literally thinking in my head, man, I'm gonna have to find somebody that comes to my house, you know, because this is gonna be a pain in the ass if I have to walk every time. As I'm thinking that, this kid is walking past me, and he sizes me up, and he goes, ganja. And I was just like, and I walked past him, and then I was like, you know what? I am going to take this man up on his offer. And I turn around, and this is, you know, just risky. I turn around and I said, hey man, you know what's going on? Got his number. This guy has been the most wonderful person and an incredible, totally legitimate and fucking like totally all on time, all the time. Fucking what a contact. And if I left earlier, if I left later, I never would have met the guy. It was just totally fucking kismet. And he's been a regular. It's so weird.
This is a cat in the UK?
This is a cat in the UK.
So
he
how does
down the street, he was delivering to somebody else's house.
What is a cat in the UK?
Past him, as I was thinking that. I need a guy to come to my house.
You manifested that shit. What does he have to grow his own or something? Like, that's crazy.
I don't know how he's getting it. I don't get into the details. I just smoke it, sir.
And your review?
It's fucking great. It's good shit.
Really?
Yeah. It's gelato or some shit. Yeah.
You've been out of the country too long, my friend.
What do you mean?
You're smoking British weed and you're like, it's pretty good.
It is pretty good. I mean, listen. In LA, I'm sure they were just like, as soon as the lockdown let up a little bit, they were like, get those. Did they ever, the dispensaries ever shut down there?
No,
they were considered essential or essential services. And anyone who smokes weed knows that that's the damn truth.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I can tell you guys, our delivery service went up 100 transactions a day the second COVID hit.
I bet.
Really? So they were just like, people were like, forget it, I'm not leaving the house. I didn't, like, I went to the weed store myself. I never had them deliver. I have friends drop off weed, and we also make our own weed and stuff like that. So I had access to that. But I actually enjoy going to the store. I used to be a real consumer back in the day. Like, I used to love going to the comic book store. I used to love going to like the DVD store and stuff like that. And the older I've gotten, the more my interests have shrank. And now very few stores that I'm like, I'm going out to the store, unless it's like I have to get groceries and shit. But no more like me time at a store. Weed store still affords me a little me time where I like to go browse, shop. I know exactly what I'm getting, but like, ooh, is there anything new? What is that? I just like to be in the room and look around. And that didn't change with COVID. I masked up like a motherfucker and then went out into the world with gloves and stuff like that. And it's so interesting because like in the first week of the lockdown, there were lines at the weed stores. Same way there were lines at the grocery stores where people are like, I need toilet paper. Smart people were like, I need weed, thinking it might go away. And they had big runs, but I never heard of a weed store selling out during COVID, but I heard of a lot of them making a lot of loot right now. And rightfully so.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's so strange to be afforded this time where they're like, stay in your house. Like, what are we supposed to do? They're like, watch TV. Like, all right. Grab some weed and I guess you can make it go. I've been working. I spent most of the time writing while I was in lockdown and stuff, and also trying to stay productive because I knew if I didn't, I would just sit around and eat. And even though I've eaten vegan, I've eaten like sugar and I would just like blow the fuck up again. So I've been trying to stay busy and focused the whole time.
Yeah. I was telling the guys that I've been fasting. I've been fasting for the last 24 hours. And I'm like euphoric.
I'm last week. That's weed. Last week I did a 72-hour fast. I'm a big intermittent. That's smart. I'm a big intermittent faster. So yeah, I do 72. Longest one I've done is 90. And I didn't stop because I was like, I gotta fucking eat. I just stopped because it was family dinner. And they were like, it's been 3 days. Will you please join us? So after the heart attack, I went vegan and stuff. But really what's been most successful for me in terms of taking weight off and keeping it off is intermittent fasting. Ever since I had the heart attack and I started going vegan, I haven't eaten breakfast. I don't break my fast until 2:00, something like that. I had an eating window of 18-6. So, 18 fasting, 6-hour window of eating window. But then changed it recently to 20/4. So essentially there's a 4-hour eating window during which I feed. The rest of the time is just completely fasting. And then periodically I put together 3 days in a row. I watched this like video on YouTube, and some people are like, don't trust YouTube, but it was a doctor, legit doctor. And he broke down the chemical process of the body as you go through a 72-hour fast. And it was mind-bending. And the benefits to the is incredible. Like on hour 48 of the fast, since your digestive tract is not being made to work and stuff, and it's finally getting a rest, because Americans are like 3 meals a day, and that was never the case. I mean, the whole world's like 3 meals a day, but genetically our species wasn't built for that. Like for years, there was no such thing as breakfast. Breakfast, you wake the fuck up, you go hunt for something, maybe you eat, and that's it and stuff. So we don't need 3 meals a day. We just store all that energy. And I particularly stored a lot of that energy. So with intermittent fasting, some people say like, well, if you don't eat, the body eats its own muscles. That's not true in the least. With intermittent fasting, there's so many processes that the body goes through to kind of rejuvenate itself. It's mind-bending. One of which is stem cells. Like the body releases fucking stem cells in the 48th hour of a fast, and those stem cells go wherever they're needed in the body. I'm a 49-year-old man, so I don't know where the fuck they go with me, but I'll take as many stem cells as I can get, particularly if I'm generating them. Like I wasn't even aware that I could still generate stem cells. I thought the big thing was like, you can't get that you can only get that from like babies or some sort of shit. Literally comes from you if you let your body kind of shut down and heal. So the mental acuity I found was like incredible. By the 72nd hour, I'm not sluggish, I'm not low energy. If anything, I'm just like wired for sound, man. And fucking like the body takes over, and it's not going into a fight or flight mode. The body's just going like, oh, we're built for this. And so suddenly like it just switches over to the fat burning engine and weight falls off. And like Penn Jillette wrote in his book, because he's also an intermittent faster, he said that like once he switched over to like mostly vegan eating and stuff, he was like, I didn't give up cake and steak. My body was enjoying cake and steak that I had stored there years ago. He's gone, I don't put any new cake and steak in. Right. Believer in IF. If I was in England, I'd probably believe in it a lot more.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. Well, you know, the food's here. The food is actually
good, dude. You look fucking good. I saw a picture of you, I guess it was like maybe 6 months ago or something like that, where like I remember when you came to set and I was like, fuck, man, he lost some weight and shit. But then I saw another picture, you went even fucking tighter and stuff. So was you doing IF?
Yeah, man. I went down to 160 and then I went, and that was too much. And then I went up to about 180. And then I fucking gained 20 pounds like it was nothing, you know, on this lockdown. So I was like, I heard that we're going to start maybe working in August. So I was like, all right, I got to get back into the schedule. And, but I have never done fasting for more than 24 hours. This is the longest I've really gone. And I fucking had one chicken wing. I had to have it. And I was like, I became carnivorous. I just saw them there and I had to have it. But I have to do the full 48-hour fast to get the stem cells going. I've never done the 3-day fast. That's a lot. And
it's crazy. You find yourself like,
but the thing is like, when you do that, just on just a very simple level, you're just allowing more oxygen into your body, and the oxygen gets to your organs, and that just on a very, on a molecular chemical level, that is very helpful. What were you saying, brother?
I find that it's very easy to do. The first day is the toughest to get over the hump. Once I'm past day one, once I go to sleep, wake up the next morning, I'm like, right on. I've done it. I've made it 24 hours. After that, it's pretty easy ride. And they say generally you're not supposed to go past 72, and you're not supposed to do that like more than like once a month or something like that.
Okay.
But it's never like it's never been a struggle. And if it they say in order to like lose weight, you got to be cold, tired, and hungry. So what happens is about 7-8 o'clock at night, if I haven't eaten all day long, like a feeling kicks in of the body. Like the body's telling you, if you want to stay awake, you better fucking feed me. But at that point, that's when I'm like, I don't want to feed you. I'm trying to starve you right now. So I'm just going to go to sleep. So if I go to sleep, then I wake up the next morning, 8 o'clock, suddenly it's like, oh, all that time you sleep is fasting time. And it's like not even fasting time that you got to think about where you're like, I can't go near the kitchen and shit. You're sleeping anyway. So if you back the fast up close to like nighttime as possible, then you just find yourself like kind of calling it a day a little bit early for like 3 days in a row, and you're home free. It sounds like impossible. Like from a distance, you're like 3 days of not eating. That's fucking nuts. It surprisingly, once you get past day one, the other 2 days are not that difficult, I've found. So but I've got a lot of stored fat that the body could eat. I don't know that it would work the same for thin people. However, the videos that I've watched, they're all fucking thin people. So maybe the science of it absolutely works.
Man, there's like breatharians, they just like drink water and like meditate on the sun for fucking years. Like they turn into a plant. It's insane how close our physiology, if we let it, is to a plant, that we could survive like that just with
Some
water.
of us try to hammer it into our lungs all day long. Plant.
You are what you smoke. And
I did
So in a lockdown situation where you're about to make a movie and then they're like, everybody fucking go sit in your hotel room. Does Warner Brothers pay for you to stay out there this whole time?
Yeah, they would have had to. Yeah, they're definitely, yeah, that's it.
Vacay, man. Holy
yeah, I guess so. If you could look at it like that. But I just wanted to take a second here to thank you, man, because just to be part of your film universe, watching Clerks in the movie theater, and out of that whole movie was amazing, but I was like, I love that Jay and Silent Bob, and then the fact that you guys have gone on and did the spin-off, and you were in Fanboys, and then we got to do the homage with Hutch in your movie, and man, it just warms my heart. And I got to do the scene with Harley.
And it was Harley, Trishelle, Alice, and Aparna. So you got 4 girls like age 20 to 25, all of them actresses.
But Harley's daughter.
Harley being my daughter.
Yeah.
Dan comes in, and young kids, when they're actors, actresses, like they take it real seriously. Even though we're making like Jay and Silent Bob reboot, my kid was Method, and it really made me laugh. Where I'm like, Method, you're fucking playing Jay's daughter of Jay and Silent Bob. So those girls were like, all of them are like hardcore serious about the job, even though you're making a silly movie and stuff. You come on set, they've been working all day. You come on set and we're shooting you at fucking 2-3 in the morning. Your performance, professionalism, and like craft woke them up. Like I remember they were like, he's funny. And they were alert and then fucking like dialed in. And I remember I told the kids, because, acting kids are a bit snobby, So we had a second off to the side and I was just like, Dan comes from Broadway.
Yeah.
And all of them were like, what? I was like, yes, man. This fellow be Putnam County spell be like, yeah, he's legit. Like this is like just like the movies. Yes, he's been in the Fantastic Beasts movie, but my man comes from theater, and theater is where acting was born. And so they were all hyper interested in you for like the rest of the evening, very dialed in, trying to steal your craft. I thought that was really fun, man.
It was really sweet, man. It was really lovely to do the scene with your daughter, and then to sit in the movie theater and watch it and be like, holy shit. Like to see the casts that you put together,
I got lucky. It was people like you. Like you call everyone when you make that movie and you're like, can you come out and play? And the people that say, yeah, you make a movie with.
And it had heart, man.
Yeah. It's a big goofy dad movie. Like, it wants to be the movie we made back in 2001.
It's a great Father's Day movie.
Can't be, because that guy, has changed. Life has changed. And so if I change, the character's got to change as well. So giving Jay, like the character of Jay, like a nice reflection of his real life. Because, and most people know him from those movies and shit. And he's a wonderful guy. But he is honestly the world's greatest father. He's got one daughter. She's in the movie. She plays Ben's daughter. That's Jay's real daughter, Logan. So him and this kid are fucking tight, like super tight. Like I always thought I was a good dad. He's a fucking exceptional dad. Like he literally is dialed into the kid, cares about what she thinks and shit like that. It's like she's 4.5, he's 45, and somehow they meet at the exact same maturity level. And they're just like super clicky. Like they dig one another, man. They are each other's best friend and stuff. So like, I was always like, this guy, like the guy least likely, the guy we didn't trust to go pick up like a fucking carton of eggs, turns out to be super dad. I was like, that's fucked up. What if his character was like that? And so it kind of bled into the movie, into the script. So, you know, it is the character is, you know, tied to Jay. It's taken from who Jay was when I first met him. But this version of the character is also taken from Jay, because even though he's still very much like Jay and stuff, now he has this added dimension of being a dad. And Jay's shit is bittersweet because he didn't know his dad and stuff. And so there's a lot of like, you could tell with his daughter, like this kid is going to have the childhood that I did not have. And he's fashioning for her like an ideal childhood, the one that he would see other people in school have and stuff like that. Or more importantly, and it's kind of sweet and heartbreaking, the childhood that he saw other kids have on television, because that was his like window to the world. It's more so than like going over friends' houses, because where we grew up, you know, it wasn't like Brady Bunch and shit. It wasn't like a bunch of like model families and shit. So for him, it was always TV families was a norm that he could look at and be like, that's what I want. And it stuck around. Like that was shit he would say like when he was in his teenage years. Years later, it's what stuck. Like it's weird what you don't have or what you miss in life, and you see someone else that you try to do a variation of that or a version of that or as good an impression as you can of that model situation. And for him, that was like TV and shit. So Logan is being raised in an almost Brady Bunch like way, based on the fact that that's what Jay kind of grew up watching. Thank God she got a mother who's sensible and reads all the current literature and shit like that. So Jay is a traditionalist and Jordan is a, you know, modern parent and stuff. Somewhere between the two, Logan has turned out like very, very well. But Jay, super fucking protective. Like this was a guy who, like, you know, just fucking loved girls his whole life, constantly chasing skirt. Now has a daughter. All he thinks about, and ever since she was born, she just turned 5. All he ever talks about, time to time, will be like, I don't know what I'm going to do when this girl starts dating. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you just basically, you got to be the example for her her whole life, so that when she does go find somebody, she finds somebody that's like you, like the model. And, you know, like, and I don't mean she's fucking like wants to like her dad, but basically your job is to like treat her mom insanely well. You're the model. So she's got to see that her whole life. And then she will go out and look for somebody who treated her mom real well. And he's like, I don't want her looking for me, man. And I was like, I know what you're saying, but you got to accept the fact that, like, you know, she's a human being. Right now she's little, and you got literally like a decade before you got to think about this. But accept the fact that, like, there will be boys, or if you're lucky, girls, somebody is going to want to take your daughter out, and you're going to have to like deal with that one day. And like right out of a sitcom, how like upset he is about it. And it's a fucking decade off. It's like being worried about, like, what if the moon men land? It's like, well, that ain't happening anytime soon and shit.
Now I'm imagining Jay like answering the door to her first boyfriend. No, doing the you know, the Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs.
Will definitely out disturb the kid. Like, he won't beat him up. He'll just answer the door with his dick tucked and be like, "Are you here for Logan?"
Was that his idea? Was that his idea?
He did that his whole fucking life growing up. You know, you'd be in a car with him and he'd be like, "It's hot." You're driving. He's in the passenger seat. And he's like, "It's hot. Don't you feel hot?" And it wouldn't feel hot. You'd be like, "No." And you look over and his pants are just down around his ankles. And he's got his dick out and he's like, "Ha ha ha ha." He's flipping it and shit. Like an infant. Like how when an infant finds their genitalia, they're fascinated. Same kind of fucking thing. So he, you know, after we saw Silence of the Lambs, like in 90, 91, fucking started tucking like crazy. You know, he was just like, oh. And it's weird because we first knew him like as a teenager. Also, this teenager would like yank his pants down and tuck his dick back. And the rest of us were in our like early 20s. And we're like, we're going to get in trouble somehow. This isn't even us. And we're going to get in trouble for this. So years later, you know, when I wrote it into Clerks 2, you know, I was like, and then he does the tuck. And he's like, I can't do that. I was like, you do it every fucking day for free. Now you're going to get paid to do the fucking tuck. He's like, I don't want to show my dick. And I'm like, showing the tuck is the opposite of showing your dick. Nobody's going to see your dick. It's hiding your dick. It's tucking it. So he went for it. On Zach and Mary Make a Porno, though, he was like, you know, in one scene he walks out and he's just dick out. You could see his dick, full frontal male nudity and shit. And so it was written in the script. And we get close to shooting. Jay's like, I can't do it. I said, why? He's like, because there's this girl I'm dating and I don't want her family to see my dick. And it's the woman he's married to, Jordan, who had Logan years later.
Makes sense.
So he's like, I don't want to I can't show my dick in a movie, man. Her family's going to see this movie. Like, your whole fucking life you've been whipping your dick out. And now the one time where I'm like, literally,
when we need you.
I need dick. He's just like, I can't do it. So he owed me, I think it was $25,000.
Oh,
It's like, what if I forgave your debt? I was like, I will forgive your debt if you do the naked shot. And he was just like, oh. He goes, this is like those Hollywood stories you read about where they give you money to give up your morals. And I was like, fucking morals. I was like, you just don't want to do it because this girl that you're dating, you're not going to be dating her next month. And turns out he did marry her and shit. I was like, you're not going to be dating her next month and shit. And that here you are fucking, like, I'm telling you, smart money shows the dick. And he was like, all right, if you're going to forgive the debt, I'll fucking show the dick. So gave his debt. He went to show his dick. The day we went to shoot the scene, somebody hit me to the fact that they were like, don't look at Jay's pubes. He wants you to look at his pubes. Jay had shaved a heart into his pubes. So he was like, walking on set, and somebody gave me the heads up because apparently he was going to try to get me to look at his pubes. So I'm sitting at the monitor, and I'm in a low chair, not a high director chair, looking up at the monitor. Jay comes and stands right next to me, and he's got the robe on, but the robe's open and shit. And so dick out. Now, mind you, I've seen Jason's dick more times than I've ever seen my own across my lifetime. So I know how to fucking put it in perspective, and I'm ignoring it. And I'm looking at the shot on the monitor. And he's like, we ready to shoot this? You know, and presumably my reaction would be like, oh, but I don't even look. I'm looking at the monitor. I was like, yeah, we're going to shoot this in a second, man. I just got to watch this playback. So he's standing there and he's foiled because I didn't look. And so he starts trying to like get me to look where he's just like, so I'm ready to do it, man. Here's that $25,000 dick. And I was like, that's great, man. That's fucking awesome. I was like, as soon as we're done watching this playback, I'm going to go. So if you want to get like if you want to get last looks, we'll be ready to go in a second. And then he went and stood behind the monitor. And for folks that don't know the business, back then monitor was like a little, I don't know, 12-inch TV or something like that. And they put it on a stick, like with a C-clamp and shit like that, tighten it down. And so if he stands behind the monitor, he's not covered. There's a thin metal pole and that's it. So you could fully see his fucking dick. So his idea was if I go stand behind the monitor, Kevin's going to stop looking at the picture, look down and see his fucking dick. So that's his plan. But I know that I'm not going to be fucking caught looking at his dick. So that's what he wants. So I keep standing at the monitor and he keeps getting closer to the monitor. He's hugging the monitor, thrusting his fucking dick under it and stuff like that, waiting for me to look. And I'm like, all right, folks, we're ready to go for picture. And he goes, fuck, look at my dick, man. And I was like, why? And then I looked and I was like, oh, it's great. And he goes, don't you see? And I was like, I see your dick. And he goes, look, I fucking shaved a heart into the pubes and shit. And I knew this. I was fed this information and clearly you could see it. But then he tells me that and I go, oh, I didn't look at that. That's very clever. I didn't even notice. And he was so fucking frustrated. When I show the movie to Ben Affleck, first time he ever sees it, he wasn't in the movie or anything, he came over the house and he was watching the movie. Soon as the movie is over, he says two things. He goes, number one, did you see that Jay shaved a fucking a heart into his bush? And I was like, yes. And he was hoping somebody would notice, and you're the first. So congratulations. And then he goes, and another thing, he goes, I know what Jason's dick looks like because he's always whipping it out. So I think I've seen Jason's dick more than I've seen my own. I was like, that's exactly how I feel about it. And he goes, that being said, that is not Jason's dick in the movie. I was like, what are you talking about? He's going, it's way too big. He's going, I'm telling you right now, that dude was off camera right before he yelled action, just fucking getting it as hard as he can. that is a dick that is about to become an erection. And so I was like, ha, ha, ha. So I saw Jason, and I said, Ben watched the movie. And he goes, did he like it? I said, yeah. He's going, but he noticed the heart in your pubes. And he goes, I knew it. I said, but he goes, he says something else too.
Oh,
he
shit.
said, what? And I told him, he said that you were jerking off right before you went on camera because like you're one pump away from total lift off. And then Jay goes, you tell Affleck next time you see him, that ain't me on the way up. That's me on the way down, bitch. And that's my Jason Mewes dick story.
Me on the way down. Holy shillelaghs. Let me tell you something. Hey, Bernie, can we go over 10 minutes?
We can do whatever you want.
Oh,
buddy.
good. Okay. So, Kevin, I got a request.
Mm-hmm.
This is a video. This is like we usually just do audio. So I have will you do an impression for me?
I could try. I'm not good at that shit, but I could try.
Yeah, no, it's right up your alley.
Tom and Bob, I could totally do it. It's like
exactly. So can you do Silent Bob realizes that he actually does have the Force?
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
There it is. It's subtle. It's not big. It's not a little boy in space with a magic broom. Sometimes it's just a brief acknowledgement of, yeah, I feel the Force. And then you go back to your shit.
It's like a little kundalini tingle in your loins.
Let me ask you this, man. In a world where like everything gets rebooted and sequelized, if you wait long enough, like, fucking Jay and Silent Bob Reboot is the sequel to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. When does Fanboys happen? Fanboys 2, Fanboys 2.
Dude, I was about to ask you the same thing.
I think you got to direct it, Kev.
I think you got to get involved, man. I think because you have the wherewithal, Kevin, to round up all of the different egos and people involved and get everybody on the same page, man. I think that you got the passion and the balls to put it together, man. I think that you should do it.
I mean, it's low-hanging fruit, don't you feel? Like,
I know.
Think about it. That movie was like before the fucking Star Wars assance. Like, now we live fully in Star Wars world.
Fanboys, The Chronicles of Hutch. Well, I don't know. I don't want to just.
I could smell that buddy bed right there.
I know.
Okay. It's actually quite commented on in our feed.
I don't know if you want to go like basically if Hutch becomes the lead, then that would be like making Solo. I don't know if we want to do that.
That's true.
I like Solo, man. I actually dug Solo. I thought it got a bad rap.
Yeah, but I wish they casted Harrison Ford's cousin instead of Michael J. Fox's cousin.
I just see my only problem.
It's a Millennium Falcon.
That was genius. My only problem was, why do a human, especially a human who's alive and a human who's one of the most famous actors on the planet? Like, if you're doing a Star Wars spin-off anything, you choose a droid, you choose Boba Fett, you choose Yoda, you choose Chewbacca, you choose one of these ageless fuckers, man, that like, is all makeup and costume and shit. But instead, you pick a human character. One of everyone's favorite fucking human characters in all of sci-fi, Han Solo. And then you pick some poor son of a bitch to be like, now you be Han Solo. Even though Han Solo has been one guy for decades, you try it. I mean, I thought that kid acquitted himself admirably, but like that's a fool's fucking errand at that point. They might as well have just done like the Wookiee movie or the Yoda movie or something like that, because then you don't need the real person. You won't judge whoever's playing that character against the person who's played it every fucking year of your life since you were a child. So that was the only thing I thought was like the drawback to that. They set themselves up for like this kind of disappointment where people are like, well, that's not Han Solo. That's a guy pretending to be a young Han Solo.
You digging The Mandalorian?
Loving it. Absolutely loving it. I mean, not only just loving it as a Star Wars thing, because it's a wonderful Star Wars thing. The moment I saw fucking the troop transport pull up, which was a toy that Kenner had done years ago that never appeared in the movies. It was just you could put your 4 and 4, 3 and 3 stormtroopers on either side. They put it in The Mandalorian, thus retconning a useless fucking toy. I knew the trilogy was safe in wonderful hands. But that being said, scrape away the Star Wars. What I love about it is it's a throwback, but not so much for me to Star Wars. It reminds me of watching TV on a Saturday afternoon. It feels like the Planet of the Apes series that they had done when I was a kid. Not like not the aesthetic of it, not the characterization. Probably the end credit sequence with the drawings is what really pulls me to it or something. But all of it feels like a happy childhood.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like somebody reinterpreting Star Wars now for this moment, for this generation or whatever. It feels like somebody, they're not sequelizing anything, more or less. It's not like this is a direct sequel to Star Wars, but it feels like somebody kind of taking you right back to your childhood and telling you like it's okay. Like it's okay that it doesn't have a gazillion effects. Think about this. Like when the last 3 Star Wars movies you saw in the theater and stuff, more special effects in them than the 3 first Star Wars movies we ever saw combined. Everything's an effect these days and stuff. And JJ made a tactile world where people were in suits and shit, but still effects everywhere. The Mandalorian show has effects, but very minimal. It can be shot on a budget, and don't get me wrong, like it's not a low budget, like they're spending some money on that show, but it doesn't cost as much as it should because these cats are like, what are we technically sequelizing here? The first 3 movies. And while those movies are everything, they were not like fucking full of very expensive special effects. Yes, for their day, of course, they were blue screen and shit. But like at the end of the day, they didn't have this endless array of like, we'll just do it CG. We can just add that CG. They were very close and careful and pick their moments and pick their shots. And that seems to be the way that they're fashioning Mandalorian. For lack of a better description, they're shooting it like Star Wars, where they're like, you don't need like 2 hours straight of special effects because at the root of these stories are people. Like that's what people like, are the people. And they really like the Mandalorian, even though they never see his fucking face. So like at the end of the day, they don't have to like overspend to get you. Like, whenever they put a trailer for a Star Wars movie up, it's like, look at all the fucking money. But for the Mandalorian, they're not putting money forward. They're not going like, look how fucking expensive this looks. And it does look expensive. What they're saying is like, look at the story. Look at the story, man. And more importantly, the whole thing could have been like crap. They had Baby Yoda. So like they win, they found a way. Thank God the thing's not crap. It's brilliant. But they found the one fucking secret ingredient. Whole world was talking about Star Wars again. Whole world was talking about Yoda again. Like it was the fucking middle of the 80s and shit, as if Yoda was a brand new concept. But they found a great way to be like, you know what? For those people that don't give a fuck about Yoda anymore, now he's little. Isn't that cute? And everyone was like, ah! Like they baby Grooted this motherfucker. It was so smart.
Remember Muppet Babies? And I noticed early on in The Mandalorian that he's got a helmet. You don't see his lips, and he doesn't talk much. So I started to do a thing called the Dandalorian, where I dub my own voice. And you guys should check that out. It's on my Instagram. So this is a good segue. Let's go. Kevin, isn't Kevin awesome? Let's give him a round of applause here. Virtual round of applause. And we're going to move on to Bernie's game. Let's get everybody involved here. This is Bernie's picks. Bernie, take it away.
All right, guys, that was actually, yes, a perfect transition. And thank you guys for going Star Wars. So I pulled across the infinite space, the internet, and various sites and things of repute to find the top 32 science fiction TV shows. In another show, another day, we'll do movies and villains and all that fun stuff. This was crazy. So we put them in a, like March Madness bracket challenge. And so we started with 32. We've gotten it down to 16. And that is where we will all jump in. I'll tell you who won their first round matchups and who they're facing. And then you guys tell me what the better show is. So in this first round matchup, it is the number one ranking in this overall thing is Star Trek, the original series, 1966, up against. It's a tough draw. They at least made it to the number 32 seed, and that was Sliders. Star Trek TOS took out Sliders pretty handily, which sets up the first matchup. Now, in the first round, a very even matchup between classic Doctor Who and Westworld, the modern Westworld. Did not go the way I thought it was going to go. Doctor Who Classic moves on. So our first battle.
Really?
A lot of these didn't go the way I thought they would.
So you'll see too. Our biggest upset is in this.
Who beats modern day Westworld?
Fandom is, this fandom is super passionate, right? Sometimes it's without reason.
That scarf travels very far.
It does. I'll tell you what, you guys can have one mulligan if you think the fans just no, and you want to make a switch. We'll do a mulligan.
I would never take away anything from a fan. If that's what they believe, that's what they believe. But I, like you, find that very surprising. I would have.
Westworld's so good.
I would have bet on Westwood kicking old Doctor Who's at.
There will be at least 2 or 3 more of those instances. I was very shocked. So this is Star Trek, the original series versus the Doctor Who classic. They're both of similar eras, but totally different types of storytelling. You can judge this however you want. What do you feel when you think about the original series tracker, when you think about classic Who? And then what is your pick? It could be preference, what you think is better, what meant more to sci-fi, whatever.
Who went first? Does anybody know historically? Is Trek before Who?
Ooh.
Who's on first?
What's on second? They're so close to each other. I'll do a quick little research on that one. But in the meantime,
for some reason, I feel like Doctor Who might have went first, just by virtue of the fact that they shot on black and white video at one point. Mm-hmm. But oddly enough, like, if that's the case, if it did go first, then of course, like, I bend a knee and give it a nod for having been first. But Star Trek really brought sci-fi into the American consciousness. Since I grew up with America, that's what I could focus on. Like, Doctor Who didn't penetrate in the United States for a long time, and still to this degree, he's very well known, or she very well known now, but not to the degree that Star Trek is. Star Trek is like Coca-Cola. It's a brand that has traveled the world. It started as an American TV show, and part of its mythology of being a canceled American TV show has helped it cross over, I think, worldwide. Is at one point people could look at the show and be like, America is dumb. How could they cancel something like this? I pick Star Trek.
Yeah, me too.
Over Who, and not because I'm like, fuck Who. I have nothing but respect for the Daleks and whatnot, and they've been able to keep that Doctor Who shit going. Think of how brilliant the idea of regeneration is. Regeneration means we're going to regenerate the fucking bank account because we can replace Who all day long.
Solves the issue you brought up about Solo.
Right? That's true. Imagine if they were like, he regenerates. Then people would have been like, hey, man, I'll see whoever the new Who is. Which one went first? Did you look it up?
It was 1963 Doctor Who, so it precedes it by 3 years.
That's
I never saw a Doctor Who episode. I never even saw one. I mean, I did. I saw half of one.
WOR, where I was a kid, Channel 9 out of Secaucus, would run the old Doctor Who, mostly the Tom Baker one and stuff. They must have had a license for that season or those seasons, because they would run them back to back. And I remember my biggest issue with them, and it's crazy because I'm no cineast, I'm not Chris Nolan, and nobody thinks of my stuff and thinks about composition or visual aesthetics. But it always bugged me that show looked cheap. Doctor Who shot on video made it look cheap to me. Because video, as a child, video was like, that's the news. $6 Million Man, Star Trek. This shit was shot, now we know, on film. As a kid, I didn't know what the difference was. But I was this looks real, I would say about shit like Star Trek. And about Doctor Who, I'd be like, this looks fake. It's shot on video. Even though, conversely, probably one is more true than the other. The video shit probably should have looked more real.
Yeah. All right, Coop, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I mean, I got into Doctor Who a few years ago. But I mean, as far as history goes, I think Star Trek probably, as far as the US, pushed it. But Doctor Who, I just love I'm gonna pick Doctor Who, just for the fact that I really enjoy the show. I like that you can go to a different world, different time. It's like any story can fit. Any kind of thing you want to see, it'll happen. It's like I want dinosaurs that are like melting people's skin and they can talk in a British accent, and then you got it. Why not? So that's what I like.
Star Trek could have done it too. Just now.
Yeah.
And part of the greatness of Trek is really what it's spawned, right? And how many different spin-offs and sequel series, which brings us to the next matchup. In the first round, Twilight Zone had a bad draw and it went up against Star Trek The Next Generation. Star Trek The Next Generation narrowly edged it out in our fan poll, moving on to go up against, this is a huge upset, I think. Even though I'm friends with cast members of the show that moved on, I did not think that it would. But Farscape defeats Black Mirror in the first round. I think Black Mirror's like, I think it's too real for everyone. I think it's so like, holy shit, like this stuff is happening right now, right? And I think maybe it's too much of that. So we end up with Star Trek The Next Generation versus Farscape to see who will battle against Trek TOS.
Is that a question?
Yeah, so you're going with Next Generation or Farscape?
Definitely Next Generation.
Yeah, Next Generation. Wow, this is going to be Star Trek. It's all Star Trek all the time.
And that's what you get for sheer numbers, right? They've had 96 Star Trek TV shows.
Coop, how you feel?
Oh, no, Next Generation for sure. I'd also put that up against that would beat Doctor Who for me as well.
Number one.
TNG is that's my Trek show. I grew up with that. I could not wait. Wednesdays on UPN or whatever it used to be. I waited for it every day. Made sure I did my homework and got my dinner out of the way, and then it was wait for Star Trek to come on. So yeah, TNG moves on there.
How's the new Picard show? Is it good?
I haven't seen it, but a friend of mine works on it. He's working on season 2. Yeah.
Kev, what was your question?
It would have been a better matchup if Black Mirror had beaten Farscape. So then it would have been Black Mirror, Star Trek Next Generation. And that would have been a fair fight, man. Because you're talking about one series that's had a long time and was full of wonderful writing, reinvented the show, did the impossible, took Star Trek and reinvented it, and made people okay to let go of the old version and embrace the new. Up against the modern day Twilight Zone. Like
absolutely
pieces of science fiction ever created. That would have been
100%. What I went with was the sanctity of the ranking, right? And instead of trying to manipulate the matchups of what we would end up, it's this is how the cookies crumbled. The next matchup, Doctor Who Modern 2006 defeated Red Dwarf. So we have Doctor Who 2006 going up against Star Trek Voyager, which defeated Orphan Black. So you've got Doctor Who Modern versus Star Trek Voyager.
Doctor Who Modern versus Star Trek Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
And Doctor Who Modern is
everything from 2006. So you got the David Tennant run, the Matt Smith run, the current run, Capaldi, and
everything.
Absolutely. Versus Star Trek Voyager.
Can someone tell me what episode I saw of Doctor Who? Okay. So he is in some castle and like death is after him and he has to just keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again. And he like refers to the whole, a bird taking one piece of sand from one beach and taking it to an island and creating a mountain. Like, do you guys know what I'm talking about? This is the one episode I saw.
Sounds very
like literally every episode of Doctor Who.
Every episode of Who is like an existential crisis.
I guess I don't have to watch it here. So do we figure out that one?
No, just toss out your votes there. Modern Who or Star Trek Voyager?
Star Trek Voyager.
Who?
Yeah, Modern Who.
All right, by 2-1, we've got Who moving on. That is where I would have come out on that. As much as I do love me some Trek, the Modern Who was really great. I enjoyed a lot of that run. I kind of got lost with the 12th Doctor Capaldi, but Christopher Eccleston was great to re-kick it off, and then David Tennant was fantastic. All right, our next matchup and the final one on this side of the bracket. Star Trek again. They all ended up in all of them except one ended up in one side of the bracket. DS9 defeated Babylon 5 in a pretty big upset.
Bernie, we're overloaded on one side.
Right.
We have to move some of the Star Trek over to the other side of the ship.
And the biggest upset, the fans of you guys will know that the fans of this are just hugely passionate. But The Expanse, which is one of the best sci-fi shows ever, was upset in the first round by Firefly.
Jeff Bezos is going to kill everybody. That's his favorite show. He loves The Expanse. He loves it.
So we have DS9 versus Firefly. Yeah, DS9 versus Firefly.
What am I voting based on my preference or what I think is the
your preference? What you think was prolific or better, however you want.
I have no skin in this. No horse in this race. So I'm going to go with Firefly just because it has a very strong fandom. Those brown coats.
Yes, they are.
I just don't want to piss off a brown coat, so I'm going with Firefly.
No, I agree. I like those coats.
I love
Coop?
Firefly.
You're with Firefly. All right.
Yeah.
It's all three. So we moved to the other side of the bracket.
All right.
This first round matchup, V was defeated by Battlestar Galactica, the modern reboot Battlestar from 2004. And then in an upset of
the old V or the new
V?
Old V was beat by New Galactica.
Yes.
No, New Galactica is good, Dan.
It is good. I love that old V. I love
the only thing about
all old V had going for it was like fucking, the one time they showed the green and then the little alien baby with the tongue.
They ate gerbils and hamsters.
They did. If you're into that
was freaky.
Kevin, the one thing I will say about modern BSG is that if they just have video cameras in their futuristic spaceship, we know what happened in every episode and there's no suspense. That's all I'm saying. All their problems are solved by video cameras.
It's true.
But and then in a battle of two shows with a little bit of a similar plot device to them, Altered Carbon is upset by Quantum Leap, setting us up with Battlestar Galactica versus Quantum Leap.
That makes sense. I have to choose Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
Scott Bakula?
Yep.
Let me tell you something about Bakula. Wait, who's the guy who's just all boop, boop, boop? Who's the other guy?
Al.
Okay. I just saw him recently in Blue Velvet. I'd never seen Blue Velvet.
He's amazing. I mean, look, him and Hopper, everyone's amazing in fucking Blue Velvet. But yes, he is fantastic.
Oh, I saw that at the IFC in New York. Oh man, I'm getting sad. I saw it. Wow, that was like maybe the last thing I saw in a movie theater. That's freaky. Yeah, he sings something, and it's.
Had you ever seen it before? You never seen it?
Oh, first time.
Isn't Hopper crazy? Where he's like, "Don't you be a good neighbor to her. I'm gonna send you a love letter, fucker. You know what a love letter is? It's a bullet from a gun, fucker." He's so fucking crazy,
so scary with this the taking the gas.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he was like, "What are these?" Yeah, he was fucking nuts.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, Cooper, you seen Blue Velvet?
I haven't.
Dude,
Worth a shot, man.
I haven't.
Classic.
I'll do it.
You have
I will do it.
His name escapes me though. What is the
Dean
guy
Stockwell?
Who played the other guy?
Dean Stockwell.
Dean Stockwell. That's it.
Yeah, he's fantastic. All right, so Dan, you're with Quantum Leap. Kevin, Coop, Quantum Leap or Battlestar Galactica?
Hands down, I got to go B-Star G, man. They went deep. They got a lot out of that story. And Quantum Leap, don't get me wrong, I have nothing but respect for it, but it's an episodic, right? It's like they didn't have to tell the long con. Every week, it was like, let's jump in, let's jump out. Battlestar Galactica orchestrated over fucking seasons, man. Like the same quest of like, we got to find fucking Earth. And so while there were episodes, most of it was mythology. So I go for B-Star G.
All right, Coop, you're the tiebreaker in this one.
Oh man, I feel bad because I've only seen Quantum Leap in like a handful of episodes of Battlestar. So I feel like I don't deserve to make a choice. But I'll say this about Quantum Leap. If you have a song stuck in your head. Any song stuck in your head. Start singing do 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 do, and because of that, it gets do 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 do. So I guess I got to do Quantum Leap. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Right.
That was meant to be the theme from Quantum Leap.
I had it in my head there.
What are you smoking?
It's lemon
easier
lemon
to do
something.
It's easier to do the Battlestar Galactica. That is like heavy duty drums where it's like boom, 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 boom.
That is a huge upset. So we have a number 18 seed beating the number 2 seed to move on to the next round. Unbelievable, guys. I cannot wait for the fandom fallout.
They need to asterisk this round. History will come back here and ask us why we let this happen.
The fans are going to riot. This is going to be nuts. All right. The next matchup, Fringe was beaten by Stargate SG-1 and Sequest. It was an honor just to be mentioned. Was beaten by X-Files. So we have Stargate SG-1 versus X-Files.
Oh.
The truth is right here, my friends. X-Files beats Stargate.
All right.
For sure.
I'm with X-Files.
All right. It is a clean sweep for the X-Files moving on. We now have this. This is going to be tough, guys. So Stargate Atlantis was defeated by Stranger Things, and Torchwood was defeated by The Mandalorian. So we have Stranger Things and The Mandalorian. This is probably our Sophie's choice right here. How do you guys feel about those?
I dig Stranger Things, but I got to go with The Mandalorian. I mean, how can you compete with The Mandalorian? You can't do it, Bernard.
Yeah.
Those kids are pretty cute, man.
The kids?
The Stranger Things kids.
Oh.
They're cuter than Yoda, though.
Baby Yoda. I can't get Baby Yoda out of my head.
So you got one Baby Yoda versus 4 kids who are...
Baby Yoda would
11 has got powers, though, not dissimilar to the Force.
Yeah, man.
Is
But
that her name 11?
if you look at 11's pop, it's creepy. You look at Baby Yoda's pop, it's adorable.
It is adorable.
Based on pops alone. I mean, why are we even having this discussion, for heaven's sakes? Baby Yoda was the biggest pop cultural moment of all of last year, if not
absolutely
the decade.
Why is it okay? Why is it okay that a 50-year-old baby force choked the poor woman, the poor bounty hunter woman during the chess or the thing? Thank God it's this visual.
Yeah. What? Are you sure you watched The Mandalorian?
Yeah, with the force choke. And she's doing, they're doing this. What the fuck is this called?
Arm wrestling.
Arm wrestling? You never
And
saw
they're doing
You don't have that in England?
I thought you were being a door hinge. Okay.
Here it's called musket wrangling.
Look, he was jerking off that thing that Luke Skywalker milked.
Oh, God. Someone's going to put this in post and they're going to give me a giant blue dildo or something. Okay, no, I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about? Where the only time in the series where Baby Yoda does a force choke.
Yeah,
everyone's just like, he's 50 years old. He doesn't know better. I'm not 50 yet, and I know better.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
It's all relative.
Differently though.
You guys,
I
guess you guys aren't as worried about that as I am.
No way, man. I want
Baby Yoda can do no wrong.
Baby Yoda to choke more people.
Right?
Come on.
You're hoping he goes.
I want him to pull Moff Gideon's TIE fighter down to the ground, right?
Yes.
There we go.
I want him to pull the dark saber to himself, straight out Moff Gideon's hands.
Baby Yoda holding the dark saber.
Yes.
I hope Disney's listening to that.
I think it's Mandalorian, or I'm now going to refer to it for the rest of my life, the Dandalorian.
The Dandalorian. Moving on. Our last matchup in the round of 16.
Let's take a moment though. I mean, Stranger Things just fell. Which is the bigger surprise, that B-Star G dropped or fucking Stranger Things dropped?
I mean, we're talking the number 2 and number 3 in this entire ranking system just fell. So it's pretty epic on either end.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Baby Yoda 11 versus Baby Yoda would be an incredible battle.
That would be.
I think BSG is the bigger upset because it loses to Quantum Leap as opposed to Stranger Things losing to Mandalorian, you can kind of understand that. Yeah.
True. And Stranger Things, right up until like Mandalorian was like, oh my God, we go all the way. And then suddenly nobody expects the Mandalorian, but this is the way.
It is the way. So at this point, nobody had this bracket lined up. Nobody's Final Four is going to match. Nobody will win any money. But the last matchup in this round, we have our final Star Trek show, Discovery, the newest Star Trek entry, not including Picard. Star Trek Discovery, which had defeated Warehouse 13, going up against Watchmen, who defeated Defiance.
That makes sense.
Both shows deal with a lot of heavy stuff. And a lot of allegory to modern day. Watchmen, have you guys all seen it? I think is the best thing I saw this year, maybe. Incredible.
One of the best things, if not the best thing of 2019 was Watchmen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Haven't finished it yet, but I have been liking it a lot.
It's wonderful. It's worth the time. It's fucking wonderful.
And I will say Star Trek Discovery is one of, if not the best Trek we've gotten yet. It's really fantastic. Amazing.
My issue with Discovery was fuck, those Klingons are unnecessarily complicated.
Yes.
Like if I'm running that show, I'm like, we're cutting 10 million from the budget just by fucking reducing this.
Some of the ridges.
Yeah, they don't need all that. I was like, oh my God, you're spending money in the wrong direction. Like, don't make them look Romulan, but fucking, you don't have to do this shit. Like, and that really irritated the fuck out of me.
I always expect them to pull the little ear slugs out of the crevices from their noses.
Like, we've been seeing Klingons for years. You can't redesign the Klingon that hardcore. You know what I'm saying? Especially because this is what did they do? Remember watching Star Trek? The Klingons are insanely basic. So in one generation, they went from fucking like this complex thing to the kids in the 60s, 66. That bums me out. Who's it? It's against the Watchmen?
It's against the Watchmen. So, yeah, and you got fantastic cast all the way around in both of those. You got a lot of heaviness to it. Yeah, they're both fantastic shows. This is a really tough matchup.
They did nothing, Watchmen, with very little with makeup, too. Like, it's nobody sat for 3 hours in a chair to be on Watchmen that I could think of. Right.
That's true. They did a lot of basics. I mean, they're also, it's very grounded, right? There's some superhero element, but it's very, very grounded.
It's very sci-fi.
Very, absolutely. And I thought it brilliant the way that they expanded that universe. It wasn't previously expanded, right? And the way they went into it and wove in pieces from the original, but took you this much further. It's and the education that it gives you on a lot of things that we're dealing with right freaking now was tremendous.
Watchmen predicted like the future, like by showing us the Tulsa massacre and showing us a world where everyone's wearing masks and it's normalized. Like, it's crazy. You want to talk about Black Mirror, man? They predicted 2020 before we got here.
Listen to this man. Rewatch the series. I'm very proud that Watchmen is. I think good job. Watchmen's doing well, or yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They just want
fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent. Bernard.
All right. So I need your votes on that one real quick. Watchmen, everybody. Watchmen.
Yes.
Watchmen moves on. All right. So, Dan, if you want, we can do one more round to get to the final four and let the fans vote, or we can move to the next show and have our next guest go through this round. How you feeling?
Yeah, we're doing 2 hours here. We were going to do an hour and a half. We should probably let's end it there, Bernard. Good job.
All right.
Good job,
Fantastic.
Bernard. Let's move on to audience.
We got one more round after Mandalorian. Mandalorian felt like a showstopper.
Right.
Then all of a sudden there was this undercard where we all had to sit through, not leave the room. But it actually worked out. Like, it was a good fight at the end, regardless. We got to blow Watchmen a lot, so that was good.
Absolutely.
I like blowing Watchmen. So
that is the quote of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Go to post. That is the viral clip we've been looking for.
I mean, I don't know if that's the quote of the show or the brand new title of the show.
Yes.
Fogler loves blowing Watchmen.
I'll blow Watchmen.
Well, out where you are, Dan, they're called bobbies. Just, you know.
Yeah.
Bobbies.
Well, you know, this lockdown gets any crazier, we'll see what happens. So where are we at here, man?
I've got some audience questions if you want to go there.
Well, let's do the audience questions.
All right.
And let's get I'm very proud of us. This is our first show. We all seem very professional, except for me. And we did a full almost 2 hours here. Guys, this is amazing. And thank you for the audience for hanging on. And let's take your goddamn questions right now.
Kept it on the rails, dude. You kept it on the rails. Well done.
All right. The first one comes from a large Facebook group called Consolation that sprouted up in the midst of all the conventions being canceled and a lot of the folks that are missing that community gathered there.
The
Consolation, like cancellation, but you see?
Name, yeah. And also consoling. That's kind of a good name.
Absolutely. A woman there named Laura, who is with the Carolina Manga Library, that is a traveling library doing, like books for kids and stuff. What are 5 graphic novels that they should have in their collection?
Okay, Watchmen.
Yep.
You guys all want to add one or something?
Watchmen, Dark Knight Returns.
Oh yeah.
Kingdom Come. I love.
Marvel.
100 Bullets.
Another Alex Ross. 100 Bullets. I would suggest, Stray Bullets. I would suggest Mage, the Hero Discovered.
Yes. I would say
X-Men, God Loves, Man Kills.
Ooh. East of West recently was incredible.
Brooklyn Gladiator.
My comic books.
Yes, there you go.
Fish kill.
What was the Spider-Man's? My favorite Spider-Man story is Fearful Symmetry.
Oh fuck yeah,
Craven's Last Hunt.
Oh, I love that one.
Such a great story.
Oh, so good. That's Mike Zeck, right? I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Short segue question. You guys all dig a lot of the same stuff. You mentioned X-Men. What would you can put on Kevin Feige's baseball cap for a second. How do you bring the X-Men in? What do you do with the X-Men right now?
The low-hanging fruit is to bring them in through the multiverse of madness, Doctor Strange movie, because apparently there is a Marvel multiverse. It's right there in the title. So you can do a whole oh my God, they've existed just in this alternate version of our reality and stuff, and then bring them into this. I hope they're not going to go these mutants are just starting to pop up. We all know what a mutant is. I'm heartened by their treatment of Spider-Man, because when they introduced Spider-Man, they did not do the death of Uncle Ben again. They did not do origin. They just worked with the audience going, we all know who fucking Peter Parker is and what happened. Let's just move forward. So I'm kind of hoping their approach to the mutants is the same way, where they're everybody knows what a mutant is. We don't have to fucking re-educate. We don't need a lot of exposition. Well, this gene means that blah, blah, blah. And you might get away with that if you bring them in through the multiverse somehow, through the Doctor Strange. And
maybe even incorporate Secret Wars was one of my early thoughts of how they could do that.
That'd be fucking.
That's a good idea. I always thought that Spider-Man was always the crossover. He always he always hung out with the X-Men, and I was hoping that he would also bring in the Fantastic Four as well. He hangs out with them. Yeah, man. My opinion is that they'll sprinkle some X-Men in some of these new Spider-Man movies, and then they'll bring the bridge over.
I agree, Kevin. I'd like to see them incorporate. I'd like to feel like the X-Men already happened. We don't need another origin story. They show up and they're here. Right. But they did I don't know if this was on purpose, but they did lay the seeds to be able to do, the events of Infinity War created it when Rocket, when they're having their hologram meetings, and Rocket talks about, every time the gloves use this great energy, like wave hits everything,
Right.
and that energy wave easily could have been what created the Fantastic Four or mutated the X gene, et cetera, if they wanted an easy backdoor. I hope they don't do that. But
my bigger question is more how the Fantastic Four gets introduced.
I would love to do a thing with I'm sorry, I think it's Venom, right? He goes to them to get rid of the Venom costume, just like he does he goes to Reed Richards to get the
But I mean, how come in 10 years of Marvel movies we've never heard the name Reed Richards before? Like, it seems late in the game.
One time, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, when they're aiming the guns at everybody, and it's like they're talking about the program is targeting threats before they happen. They mention Stephen Strange and Reed Richards, et cetera, et cetera.
They said Reed Richards, or is it just written on the screen?
No, he says Reed Richards. Sitwell says that.
Wow.
And this is years before they had to do.
Yep.
Talk about playing the long con. Talk about Babe Ruth in it, where you're like, he was right. They got there. All right. So then, if that's the case, and Reed Richards is established in the Marvel universe, maybe he's a super smart guy, but he hasn't been hit.
Right. With Gamma, right?
They're cosmic rays, right?
Cosmic, yes.
But I like the idea that the fucking snap wave could have created them. That's kind of dope too.
It's all there for them to do. The next question comes from Marianne Butler. Kevin, this is for you. Marianne would love to know what's going on with He-Man.
Oh, kid. Children. Let me tell you something. I have the benefit of having seen now 5 animatics for our first 5 episodes of Masters of the Universe, which we're doing with Netflix and Mattel. It is wonderful shit. It plays like the next episode of the old series, of the classic series that everybody grew up with, the Funimation. It just feels like, okay, this is what happened after the very last episode. And then our story kicks into gear. All the episodes have been great so far, but in episodes 4 and 5, there are emotionally heart-wrenching moments where I don't care who you are, you're probably going to roll a tear. Even if you're unfamiliar with these characters, even if you've never heard the expression Motu or Masters of the Universe or He-Man or anything like that. Powerhouse Animation crushing it with the storytelling visually. And we had a great team of writers. There was me, Mark Bernardin, Dia, Tim, Eric. And the stories, like we had this one marching order from our boss at Netflix, Ted Biaselli. He wanted this. He was the one that brought in Masters of the Universe. And, he was like, look, I loved Star Wars growing up. I love Batman. But Motu, Masters of the Universe, that was my religion. He's going, every episode I watched, I was just like scared that Skeletor was going to win, that he would kill He-Man and stuff. I thought there were high stakes. He's like, then I got older and I realized there were no stakes whatsoever. He's gone, all I ask is that you treat this as seriously as I saw it when I was a kid. Just make me feel like the way I felt when I was a kid, like, oh my God, what if he wins? Like, just put stakes into it and honor these characters. Don't make jokes. Don't be goofy about it and stuff. Don't wink at the audience. Like, these are rich characters with a deep bench. He's gone, I would just always dreamed of watching somebody do it the way I thought it was being done when I was a kid. So that was our marching orders. And because of that, we had a boss who, like, we couldn't fucking fail. It was his favorite thing in the world. So every script we produced, he loved and then could enhance by being like, wait, put Buzz Off in this. And we're like, oh shit, like this is a guy who's forgotten more about Motu lore than those of us writing the show could lay claim to. Didn't matter because we had 2 bosses who were great. We had Ted at Netflix And then we have Rob David at Mattel. Rob is not only a suit, but he's been writing Masters of the Universe for DC Comics for the last few years. So he's a story guy as well. So we were covered on both sides. Then once we turned in scripts, Ted was like, okay, we're going to cast this. And like, he got us an incredible cast. And again, because this guy was like, I want to see the version that I saw as a kid. And in my version, like, it had big names in it. He's like, the people in the show are big names. That's why we have Alan Oppenheimer, who was the voice of Skeletor in the original run, comes back as Moss Man in this. So we got crazy lucky. Mark Hamill doing Skeletor.
Wow.
It's like, you can't even imagine like who would be comparable. And we wound up getting Luke Skywalker and the Joker to play our iconic bad guy and stuff.
Wow.
Awesome. It was so good. It really turned into a great show. And I'm not bullshitting. I'll sit here some mornings, get up, smoke a joint, and just watch the animatics. And I've seen them so many times at this point. And their animatic is a very bare, like barely pen and ink, more like pencil and page version of the cartoon, like storyboards, but they move. But it's very bare minimalism. You can't, like, if you don't know the script, sometimes you don't know what character you're looking at and stuff. That being said, man, like Powerhouse doing such a good job, even with the animatics, you can still follow it. Like fucking, like you could put it on Netflix as is, and people would be able to follow the story and stuff. Their art is that good. But I'll sit there and watch it, and sometimes there are scenes where it's just figures, not even well defined, just expressing where characters will stand. And the performances that are coming through, like, are so deep, so fucking emotional that it just comes through on the screen. It is. I'm so crazy proud of it. It's the one thing. Like, most of my life, I've been doing shit by myself, and you know, this is a very collaborative effort with a bunch of people. I was the showrunner and stuff, but like, we had a bunch of writers, and then it goes off to animation folks, and we had bosses who said, like, these are your parameters. That all being said, it was like one of the most fulfilling creative experiences I ever had. Any Masters of the Universe fan from the 80s will love this. Every character represented as who they were. It's not like, man, we break it and fucking show you who these guys really are. Everyone is true to the characters that people grew up loving and stuff. Everybody, like, you know, if you remember, every episode literally featured fucking He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Duncan, and Tila, and Cringer, and Orko. That's our core for every episode of this and stuff. It's a family affair. Like, you know, Ted at Netflix was like, think of it as like Game of Thrones, but without boobs and no dragons. And so we were like, done. Like, just treat it as seriously as they treat Game of Thrones. Because Game of Thrones was a breakthrough for people that like didn't like fantasy and stuff. People were like, I don't watch that shit. They would still watch Game of Thrones just by way the material was handled. People are like, you know what? It may have dragons and swords and shit, but like, I actually like this show. People outside of the genre. It's one thing to sell me, like, fucking, like, great, it's got a dragon, I'm there. But like, they sold Game of Thrones to like my brother, and he doesn't watch any of this shit. So like, Teddy was, his point was like, yes, like it's some of these characters are ridiculous, and is all conceived as a toy line and stuff. He's going, but your deep bench of characters, how many characters you get to play with, and the rich histories they all have intact, and you just have two warring factions. He's like, this is classical stuff. He's like, just treat it like Shakespeare. So we did. It's emotional Shakespeare, man. And in the show, like, you know, Skeletor and He-Man were always fighting, but they never literally crossed swords because it was a kid's cartoon. They weren't allowed to and stuff. So in our version, people get to like fight. And, you know, since it's a grown-up cartoon, they get to like fuck each other up and stuff. So you can watch this as a 50-year-old and fucking like love it. And if you've got kids, you can sit there with your kids and be like, this is the shit that I grew up watching, man. Like, this was my childhood. It's designed to be enjoyed like a Marvel movie by, like, you know, audiences big and small. So it's user friendly, even if you don't know like the world of Masters Universe, even if you've never heard the word He-Man. But if you know He-Man and Masters of the Universe, it is a fucking, it's just, we literally take you back and give you a happy childhood. We put you smack dab in the middle of your happy childhood. By the time you finish watching it, you're just going to be like, Mom, what's for dinner? Even though you're 16, because that's how fucking in touch with the source material it is, man. All we did, we honored everything. We were not smarter than every episode they did prior to us. All the episodes that built a fan base, we were not like, we'll reinvent this shit. We honored their storylines and finished an unfinished storyline of theirs. All we had going for us was we were allowed to treat the characters as human beings, not just as cartoon characters. So they have real emotions. There are real stakes. There are deaths. The original title of this fucking series was End of the Universe. So like it's full of like stakes, man. It goes on such an adventure. So I love it, but I'm not like, I'm smart. It's just the collective has put together something wonderful. I'm proud to be a part of it.
Can you do me a favor? I saw every episode of He-Man growing up.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, loved it.
You want to be in it?
Yes.
We still have episodes left to record. I gotta get you in.
Please, I'm there. I'll do many voices, as many as you want. I'll be a rock. Okay, so my favorite.
They got a talking rock.
I know. If you could work this in somehow, it would be an amazing wink, and I would just be so delighted and happy. One of the first impressions I ever did as a kid that cracked my friends up was He-Man. And if you notice in the episodes, they would, because they had to keep on churning him out, they would repeat moves. So he'd be on, some planet or something, and then he would in some area, and then all of a sudden he's like jumping the same exact way as he went off the cliff in some rainforest somewhere. And it was always like this. He'd always jump down and he'd land and he'd look this way and he'd look this way and then he'd just start running.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Rotoscope shot.
Oh my God. And that shit, if you could somehow, I don't know, every time, but every once in a while, if you can repeat him jumping down the same way.
We can repeat that shot, but there's no way on Earth Powerhouse will be like, we're just going to reuse the shot. So nobody does that anymore, but we can totally replicate a landing looking this way and around.
Yeah, I don't know. Just, you know what I'm talking about though.
Fuck yes.
God, that's so Saturday morning cartoon to me. That's amazing.
It's a filmation, man. That's limited animation. Like those cats were not doing 24 and they had zero compunction about reusing shots over and
over. Backgrounds go the same over and over and over again. Same shit. I love that, man. Love it.
Cartoon Express, man. I'm feeling it right now. Just that whole thing. Did you guys have Dan? You grew up with the Masters of the Universe. Any of the lesser known ones that were like your particular favorites of that era of cartoons? I think we did this a little bit last month when we did the first one.
I loved. I always throw out the most obscure one that I loved, which was Mighty Orbots. And if anybody remembers that one, does anyone remember Mighty Orbots? No.
Orbots? What is it?
It was right before G-Force. And remember G-Force? With Keop and all those fucking...
Not to be confused with Battle of the Planets.
Right. No.
Battle of the Planets?
Sure.
That's like an animated soap opera.
Right. Oh yeah. Heavy Metal the movie, like I must have watched that a million times, but that's not in the same category.
I love Heavy Metal the movie.
I love Silverhawks. Like I love
Silverhawks is definitely on my list.
All the Thundercats spin-offs, like the original fucking Thundercats animation, those movies that came out. My God, they always had that really excellent at the first Batman, the series, like the first, that Clayface episode. I think about the first Thundercats episodes, that Clayface episode, and some of the first animation, like the movies that they put out, the hour-long movie as an advertisement for the series. That was some great fucking animation.
Of that whole era, Thundercats is what I would love to have seen get the live action treatment, And since high school, I've thought of like fan casting, who would be unfortunately the two people that would have played the biggest leads have passed. But God, I would love. I don't even know what's in the way of that. Was that something you guys would want to see? Thundercats live action? I think that could work these days.
Yeah, they got to get it right, or else it's cats all over again. You don't want to get that fucked up.
More thunder, less cats. That's
more thunder, less cats.
Yes,
you gotta get the faces right.
But Mumra as a character is great. Lionel, like visually, they could all look really badass, man. Like I could tell. I don't go deep on Thundercats. That's right when I stopped collecting. Like I used to watch He-Man, but I didn't collect any Masters of the Universe toys. And then, I was right about it to enter high school, so I stopped watching those cartoons. I kept watching Super Friends and stuff, but I wasn't like, ooh, I'm going to join up with a new generation of toy cartoons because I wasn't buying those toys. So I know it. I respect it. I wasn't a hardcore fan, but anybody can look at Thundercats and go like, oh my God, you could totally make a movie of this now. Like now is the time. Like there were, years ago, maybe it'd be all makeup. And so maybe it looks weird and shit, but we just like, look what they accomplished with those Marvel movies. Look how they make Black Panther move and stuff. Tell me you can't fucking make the Thundercats move that cool. Look how they make Spider-Man swing through the canyons of New York. You tell me you can't fucking show, what was the fucking big, like the goofy one, Snarf?
Snarf.
You can't do the same thing through the canyons of, well, not New York, but wherever. Like, it's just easy. It seems like its time is now. Like, that's a very imaginative cartoon. Just like the Marvel movies didn't exist until the last, like, 10, 15 fucking years. I mean, go back a little further for the X-Men flicks and shit. But generally speaking, it took CG and special effects that long to catch up with the imaginations of old guys in the fucking 60s to finally realize those dreams in movies. So we're at an age now where technologically speaking, you can make a flawless Thundercats. And, like you grab a bunch of people, it wouldn't just be for people who are like, oh, I used to watch this cartoon when I was a kid. You grab a fucking generation of people. Dan,
you have to be Snarf if we do this. I could, yeah.
Does this sound like Lionel? You ready?
Go.
Hey, Snarf, get the hell out of here. I'm trying to screw Chitara. Is that her name?
Yeah, Chitara.
You just lost the Snarf thing, dude. We're going to let you play Snarf if you're talking about screw
Snarf wants to watch Snarf.
Stop licking my balls. Thunder, holy shit.
This is exactly how I envisioned it.
Yeah, this is okay, let's do one more question. Hey, because we're at 2:30 now. We were going to go.
Why not?
Okay, what's the question, right? Or should we wrap it up? I'm asking you, Bern.
It's your call, buddy. People want to know. People want to know what Kevin's favorite teacher was at Hudson High from Stephanie Frady, who went there. They want to know how he feels about the Devils getting screwed out of the NHL's 2014 restart playoff system. And then there's a question for all of you, and that is that you've all been parts of major fandoms, right? Walking Dead and DC for Coop on the big screen. Dan in Fantastic Beasts. Kevin, you've directed the CW DC universe. What other universe would you each love to go play in?
Ooh.
I love Marvel, but I don't necessarily want to go play in their universe. Like, I'm okay to watch those movies. I never watch one of those movies and go, boy, I'd like to make one. I always watch those movies and go like, boy, I'm glad somebody made that. So it's not a Marvel. I guess Star Wars. Like, especially in a world where the Mandalorian exists. Like, it might be nice but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to like direct it. Like, if somebody was ever going to call me up and be like, we're calling from the Mandalorian, I would hope that they were calling to be like, will you be in it on camera as a fucking, I'd much rather do that than direct that shit. Directing that shit looks hard. You leave that to the genius. But I would love to be in that fucking show. Like Bill Burr was in that show. Like, oh my God. Same with Marvel. I would never want to make a Marvel movie, but like, give me one scene. Put me in one of them Marvel movies, makes $1 billion and shit. That way, when all this Jay and Silly Bob shit's done, I can go to the Comic-Con, sit in the back of the room and tag fucking photos of myself in a Marvel movie, $20 a pop, man. That shit pays for a lot.
I want to say Star Wars too, but also because Kevin's here, I want to say Buckaroo Banzai because I know you own the rights to that, don't you?
I don't own the rights. MGM does. I was working on it for a long, long time.
Wait,
but
who owns it?
No, the MGM owns it, but I was working on it with them for a while.
Oh, so you're not
Still
working
am, technically. Look, if that goes, you're welcome to come into that world.
Oh yeah.
How's that? Is that like a lukewarm right now? Where are we at? Because I think Buckaroo Banzai is totally ripe to come back into the fold.
I'm with you. And right now we're in the middle of a conversation about that exact thing. So weather, temperature wise, where is it? I'd say lukewarm. It's between lukewarm and warm right now.
Okay, let's douse a little sriracha on that and kick it up to hot.
Yeah, I agree, man. And not even just for me. I'm like, anybody make that fucking thing. Like it cries out for it. Like is a character in a world where, they turn Tony Stark into fucking Tony Stark, like Buckaroo Banzai is a multi-hyphenate and his weird world is weird and wonderful. He's very, they took him from like Doc Savage and stuff. So it lends itself to episodic. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's one of those classics that is beloved, but not so beloved that the fans wouldn't allow it to come back or recast and do all that stuff. Right up there with Last Starfighter. I would love to see somebody modernize the Last Starfighter. They're playing like World of Warcraft or something, and then Centauri comes and brings them up.
I'm also going to say Raiders. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Because it's right behind you. That's my favorite. Love Raiders. Sorry to cut in there, but what you get saying.
That's probably getting the one ranking when we do best adventure films of all time.
Yeah, probably.
Coop, what sandbox do you want to play in?
Let's do another Jaws since it's the 45th.
Ooh.
Are you the shark?
And just do it. I could play shark.
Are you watching it, Coop?
I can be the Polynesian that puts his balls on the boat and then feels where the shark's coming.
Nice.
Oh, your balls can
Moana style. Yeah. Wave right in for the Jaws 7 6.
I'm with that, man. I'm so down for that. It's a good idea, like to revive the Jaws universe. I'd watch that ball. No.
That ball thing can cross over to Jurassic World. That ball thing can cross over to Jurassic World where you feel the dinosaurs coming.
Water in the cup where you see the balls jiggle and you know that somebody's coming.
Oh, yeah, they'd say like, "Oh, the seats aren't done yet. They're all made of wood." And I'd be like, "Why?" And it'd be for that plot device that you can feel it when it's coming. They have these wooden benches. But the other cars, they're done.
I want to be the effects
cushions,
guy that animates his balls.
So the people in the wooden unfinished cars survive, but everyone in the cushy cars, they're gone. Dinosaurs eat them in the cushiony car.
Makes sense.
I only got one chicken wing in me, guys. You gotta be careful.
It's like 2 a.m. for you, buddy.
I know. It's just a lot of fun. It's past. It's 2:30. Was that the last question?
That yeah. I mean, there's others. Let's call that. There's a good first round of fan questions for the first ever.
What'd you say?
It's 2:30 in the UK.
Yeah, it is.
You're holding up well.
Thanks, man. I mean, I got some good ganja. So here's the thing. And I took a nap. I want to thank my guests. You guys are welcome any fucking time. You're like these are all brothers from other mothers. Mwah. Thank you all for coming on. And thanks the audience. And check out the 40 Xperience. Anyone want to plug anything right now to check out before we jump off?
So Kevin mentioned Mark Bernardin writing with him on He-Man, and I'll go ahead and plug the Fat Man Beyond, which films from our mutual buddy JC's Scum and Villainy Cantina in Hollywood, which is where I'm off to when we are done.
Oh, nice. Are you going to the bar?
Yeah, I'm going to the bar. I want to support. They just reopened. It's been tough.
Reopened.
You know, I want to support all my friends that are behind bar, and JC's such a mensch. So yeah, heading down to the old SVAC.
I'm going
to plug wearing a mask. I'm going to plug wearing a mask.
Are you going to do James Earl Jones wearing a mask for us? That's a good.
If you see someone not wearing a mask in your vicinity, I need you to put a mask on them. Please.
That's pretty good.
You hear me?
Oh, man, I don't want to let it go. Thank you, guys. Bernie, thank you. And let's do this again sometime, man. All right. 4D Xperience.
4D Xperience VideoCast, the first of many.
And we figured out what the best shows were.
Absolutely, yes. We did a lot of damage on that bracket. We'll look forward to crowning a champion.
Fuck out of it.
Hell yeah!
It was a pleasure.
I am
all right.
Hell yeah, guys!
And it's not just because I'm on my 50th hour of fasting, gentlemen.
All right, you gentlemen stay on the Zoom for a quick second, but ladies and gentlemen, the audience, thank you so much for tuning in to the Dan Fogler 4D Xperience VideoCast, the first of many. Thank you so much to Cooper Andrews and Kevin Smith, our very first guests on the Dan Fogler 4D Video Xperience here on NerdBot Media. Everybody, wherever you are, there you are. Take care, and we will see you on the other side of the event horizon.
Oh, that was good, Bernie.